Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Does anyone else feel badly for the Orlando Magic just as an existing thing that gets drubbed by South Florida again and again and again? You come into the league at the same time. The best and most famous thing to happen to you is Shaq leaving you so he could win championships somewhere else. And last night, a Miami Heat team that isn't even healthy because they've been healthy for like 7 of 27 games goes into Orlando. And this is the best Orlando. This is the most relevant Orlando team we've seen in how long? 10 years?
At least. They're actually really good. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league, and they have a bunch of young players who have been great so far this season.
Young team, exciting team, but there's never been anything in this market, South Florida, that has taken defeat after defeat the way the Orlando Magic have, correct? There's nothing. It's not the Jets. It's not like what – I can't even be considered a rivalry. When they came into the league together, the Orlando Magic was hell-bent on trying to create a rivalry with Miami. I guess I should point out, since Mike Ryan is deadpanning here, that all of the boys here are doing Anchorman today. They are
How does that make you feel? 4 of us in costume. I can see that table moving.
The 4 of you in costume as an ensemble moves me, not below the waist, but it moves me just generally because Meadowlark succeeded in doing something in unison and harmony. I learned when I got in here today. I saw Master Tesfatzian outside, and he was explaining to me that he got everything right on his Cowboys preview with Tony. And I'm like, what Cowboys preview with Tony? And then it was explained to me that Tony did something with Master. Master got everything right about the Cowboys, but then Tony went to Greece, and it never aired. And so Master's totally correct prediction on the Cowboys. And then Lewis was around Tony, so Tony's like, I went to Greece. I don't know what happened. And Lewis just said, yeah, my bad. That one's on me.
Yeah, I owe Master a public apology because we did Tony's NFL road trip before the season, and we had like 15 or 20 interviews with different people across the why is it?
We did Tony's NFL road trip, but you excluded America's team?
No, I didn't exclude America's team. I did America's team.
He just did it for him, is what it sounds like. It never saw the light of day. He
so
just wanted to talk to everyone.
This is why I need to publicly apologize to Master, because I haven't seen Master since that day. And he's like, bro, what happened? And I'm like, to be honest, dude, I went on a 19-day vacation. Well, I let it up to the powers that be that control the YouTube, and then it didn't get put up. So, different time zones. I'm across the world, Dan. Like, you know how it is.
Billy, why are you laughing?
Let's release it today.
I want to release it today.
If it's all right, let's release it today. If it's all still relevant.
I'm going to. I'm already talking to Lewis. We're putting it up today.
I just don't understand your defensive. I went on vacation for 19 days. Not my problem.
Not my problem, but I gave instructions. Hey, release these first 7 this day. Release these these last 7 this day, and then it didn't happen. So what am I going to do? Punch people? But be upset? Like, it is what it is.
You're not in an instruction-giving position.
Okay, so what? I need to talk to you so you can tell somebody else to do it. Who you want me to talk to Bimmel? Who do you want me to tell to put stuff
obviously
up?
It didn't work.
You want me to
out.
tell Dan? You want me to bother Dan in his very precious time to be like, Dan, can you tell somebody to do the please?
But who did you? I don't understand how the hierarchy works here.
It seems like Tony thinks he's at the top of the hierarchy, and he just walks around giving people orders, and they're just like, it's Tony, and then things just don't happen.
That seems to be a flawed business model, I would say, in terms of getting content done and made. I don't know why Billy and Mike are laughing so much. I feel like he's their protege as a producer.
He's not.
What do you mean he's not? He's learning from you guys how to produce a show.
He doesn't learn. He's incapable.
I rate him.
Thank you, Mike.
Lucy is learning something that I had underestimated here as someone who has lived in South Florida his entire life. I had never given much consideration, given that I went to the University of Miami, and that's one of the few places where I had to actively go about getting into the discomfort of trying to make friends. This is a very difficult city for Lucy, for Jessica, for anybody who doesn't live here all their lives to move to and then make friends. And Lucy's as happy as I've seen her because this week she imported friendship from someplace else, and then she went to Fort Lauderdale to go have shared happiness with a friend. She has rented a dog in search of companionship and friendship. I appreciate, Lucy, that you are aggressively trying to shake it up. But Lucy, who I view as generally not necessarily jubilant, but pretty close to effervescent, is wandering around Miami, and friendship is a problem. So Jessica is her closest friend. They get to spend time together, but you've imported a friend, and how did that feel this week, Lucy?
Well, I was happy, and we went to Fort Lauderdale. We did like touristy stuff. It was worth it. I would drive to West Palm for her. It was all the way. All the way for
compliment.
Shannon.
That's too far.
No.
Highest compliment.
You guys also have to remember I only have one friend here. Yeah, it's 62 miles.
No, it's not. No,
Yes,
it's
it
not.
is.
No, it's not.
It's way further than that. It's like 500 miles.
Well, I would do it for Shannon, and I had so much fun, and it was so great to get to see a friend. And now she's gone, and I'm not happy anymore. Now I'm sad, but that's all right because I don't know.
You got a friendship hangover, and you sound like you're having trouble with your feelings. You sort of petered out there with, I don't know what's happening with me. I went from very happy to very sad, and now I'm just back in Miami and not necessarily friendless because Jessica exists, but having trouble with friendships.
Yeah, well, Shannon is a friend that I met living in LA, and I actually met her on Bumble BFF, which I've talked about before. It's my friendship app, where it's like a dating app, and you swipe to meet friends. I'm going to have to get back on Bumble BFF once the new year starts because that's my New Year's resolution. I got to make friends.
Well, let's talk about New Year's resolutions for a second because I had never heard, and Billy was fascinated by this before the show. Lucy admitted to Billy and others that she was the only child in her neighborhood and her upbringing whose parents had created a New Year's Eve fairy.
They didn't create her. She's real. Yeah. The New Year's fairy would visit me every New Year's Eve, and I've never met anyone else who had the New Year's fairy come to their house. So every New Year's Eve, we would leave our shoes outside our bedroom, and the New Year's fairy would come and fill them with candy. And then you wake up New Year's Day and you'd have candy in your shoes, and it was awesome. So Christmas, I would ask for boots so that I could get more candy.
Oh, that's smart, Dan. That is
Beat the
a heady
system.
play.
That's clever.
Sounds like Three Kings Day down here where you leave out your
Los Reyes
shoes.
Mago.
So that's what that is like. But so when do you guys do that?
Well, so have you...
December
January?
6th, right?
Yes, it's the first.
Well, January 6th is Three Kings. Well,
that's
Also something else.
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. Yeah,
We had it
that's true.
first. We had it first.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Have you ever met anyone else that knows about the New Year's fairy?
Never.
Oh.
Just us, which is sad. I thought it was a divorced kids thing. No, it's not. We were the only family. So I would ask people about it, and then no one else had the New Year's fairy. So now that I have a platform, I was like, maybe someone else out there, the New Year's fairy would come to their house too. But it
I've
sounds
never
like it was
heard of
something
this.
that we just
This is
ripped
something
off.
I've gone the entire life. I've been introduced to all manner of fictitious characters.
What do you mean fictitious?
Well, I still feel guilt about the note that I wrote to the Easter Bunny many years ago because I insisted on the most candy in the neighborhood, not surprising from the fat kid. I was 38 years old.
What'd you do yesterday?
We don't need to relive yesterday. It went very bad.
I wouldn't say very bad. It was okay.
Look, man, I'm sorry that there are people in our audience who have kids and need to keep up illusions around kids.
No.
Illusions of what?
The
Stop
New Year's fairy sounds real. Did the New Year's fairy visit you at both your parents' house?
No, just my dad's
Oh.
house. So I don't really know what that's about. but I actively believe, still do, in the New Year's Fairy. And so I was hoping that someone else would have.
Are you going to see your dad on New Year's Eve? Like, is the New Year's Fairy still going to visit?
No, I'm going to be in LA. I think the New Year's Fairy just goes to Advance, North Carolina. I think that's
Put
where
it on the
spot.
poll, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Have you heard of anyone having a relationship with a New Year's Eve fairy?
You know who doesn't get a good rap? Los Reyes Magos. Why do we not know their names? They've just a Reyes Mago. That's it.
No, Balthasar is one of them.
Okay, keep going. We got 2 more.
Well, they brought frankincense and myrrh. I know
gold.
that.
Yeah.
And gold.
Now you're
Yeah.
doing the things that you know. but
Exactly. We
not
don't
the
know their
things that you
names.
don't know.
They visited baby Jesus.
There's so many things that translate from that time, in biblical history over to now. We know a lot of people's names,
I think
except like 3
Donatello
kings.
was one of them.
No.
Michelangelo.
No.
Raphael.
But I want
No.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Again, see, they keep going.
Yeah, Lucy, I've never heard of this, and I do like that you're associating it with divorce. I got to thinking about something here the other day. I saw that Mike Lombardi and others, this is what we do when a team wins and we don't expect it to win. We find magic in the coach producing the unexpected result. And I read an article about Pete Carroll, who I associate with positivity, but something that I don't generally associate with professional sports. They were talking about Pete Carroll, that where he goes, he brings love with him. Love. And it sounds beautiful. And I want to believe it. I believe that Pete Carroll, as a boss, seems like a loving, positive man that I would want as an ally.
You don't want someone that publicly looks like a loving person because deep down they're pieces of usually. Yeah, there's skeletons in that closet. I'm telling you right now. You don't want that. And Pete Carroll, I don't want to be that guy. You look terrible in a backwards hat. Put that on the right way.
I did not like the hat look.
Looked weird.
It was odd.
Yeah, because it was also like a snapback one with a strap, so the hair was coming through the front. He looked just totally disheveled. There's something going on there. He's not that happy. It's impossible.
Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but Pete Carroll had a couple of opportunities in the NFL, and despite putting up seasons that might suggest that he would be brought back, he missed out and got fired a couple of times. Wasn't the book on him that he was too kind? That he was not tough enough?
I want to answer your question, but I have been sort of taken aback by the aggressiveness of Billy saying the following. Put it on the poll, Juju. Do you agree with Billy? Because I'm going to put his name on it. Do you agree with Billy that Pete Carroll seems like a not happy piece of shit? Because I don't
What were my words? Let me make sure that we said that the right
don't
way.
put that on the poll.
That's how you said it.
What did I say?
That's how you said it.
Have this be one of those that Dan just says. And
I didn't
we
say
forget
him
about.
specifically. I said
did.
people that seem that happy. There was not specific to him. I would never. Not Coach Carroll. Not my Coach Carroll.
You say he's not happy, and I don't know how you arrive at piece of shit. People who are nice or serene or balanced or have found something in life. I would say that Pete Carroll seems to carry himself as a man. I heard this said the other day because he seems to carry himself with a lot of positivity and a lot of love. But I heard a CEO say the following the other day, break down what his job was, and called a third of it or more bad news. Like the job is of being the top guy is I got to go around and more than a third of the time what I'm doing is delivering news. Like it's not the job that you think it is of I'm all powerful and therefore I get the happiness. That job is a total misery. Most of the people coaching seem like a misery, wandering through the gray to work like Belichick. Pete Carroll doesn't seem like a misery. Seems like he really loves it, not just on Sundays, not just practice. Seems like he wanders around life. He's got a bit of the Henry Winkler vibe of just being happy, being a happy person, and that being contagious.
And finding a way to be uber successful in ways that coaches on the gridiron, he doesn't fit that personality type. But when you stack up his resume, being a guy that won it in college and in the pros, it's almost as good as anyone's when you look at the sport generally.
But can we talk about the idea of love in that workplace, please? Like, let's explore that for a second. The idea of, can it be? Is it possible? I know we like to associate it with coaching all the time, youth coaching all the time. Sometimes we do it with college and high school coaches when that's not why the coaches are in it. They're in it to compete and they're in it to win. And sometimes it's to raise good young men, but sometimes that's just an umbrella camouflage for, I kind of want to make a lot of money, win, and have a lot of power and be a famous person in football. Love in professional football. Possible from a coach?
Yeah.
I think Mike McDaniel has been a good example of someone who seemingly, according to Tua, has injected a lot of love into his life, and that level of confidence has helped not only obviously schematically with what he's done in building a great offense around him, but really just sort of injecting him with that type of positivity and confidence. And you hear the way through Hard Knocks and all these other NFL Films clips, the way that they speak to each other like they're friends. That's the first example that I've seen where it's not just like jovial Pete Carroll. It's a genuine connection between people at that level.
This is what Jay Glazer is talking about in terms of the seismic generational shift in leadership in that sport, that you cannot connect with young people if you're lording over them as their boss. They have to feel like you're there to help, that you're on their side, that whatever the discipline is to make them better, not to make the coach's job easier.
I think it's what's helped Pete Carroll get to the point where he's the oldest head coach in the league, because what was held against him in the 80s and 90s is now kind of in line with where coaching went, just based off of what Jay Glazer said. We're moving away from the Bill Belichick archetype, and we're moving more towards the Dick Vermeil, Pete Carroll, more sensible, more sensitive type of personality manager.
I like this look that you have on today as your character, insider who takes days off from his prestigious
I was working yesterday.
executive job in order to simply follow the trades and the sheets and the information highway that brings you all of the recruiting classes that you want. I know Lucy and Jessica in this portal, in the signing day portal with you?
I can't speak for them, but I thought it hijacked yesterday's news cycle. I love early signing day, and it's horrible. I have immense respect for the people that actually cover this and make a living in it, because I don't think there's a more difficult assignment in all of sports, chasing around 17 and 18-year-olds as they can't make up their mind from day to day.
Who's the best now? It used to be Tom Lemming and Joel Bucksbaum. Who's the best now in terms of information insider, chasing high schoolers around to find out who's got a top 5 class? And it's the usual suspects, right? It's Alabama, it's Ohio State, and now Miami is in the top 5, correct?
Yeah, Miami's number 3 presently. It's the first time since 2002, 2003 that they've had consecutive top 10 recruiting classes. So that's really good. These companies like On3 and 247, I think the best at it are the regional guys that are just over. Gabby Urrutia does a great job down here locally, but they feed to their network of 247, and that's how guys like Andrew Ivins get all these scoops, even though they're plugged in their own right. But I think the best at it are the guys on a specific beat.
Have you noticed that Mike has a tell when he's trying to be modest but also say something positive about Miami? Not that you're wrong. Like they did very well yesterday recruiting, but he's got a tell. He'll like kind of go like this, kind of cover his mouth. Like normally people do that when they're lying, but Mike does it when he's trying to say something that he knows we might jump on because it was like pro Miami Hurricanes. Yeah. He does it every time.
I do change my posture.
He's like, they have the number 3 class.
Well, he's self-conscious about being buried as a homer because, among other things, people listening to this do not want to hear about a top 3 recruiting class on a Thursday in December.
I'm really happy Miami has a reason to be happy in December.
Mike, we talked about this yesterday while you were gone, so we might as well bring it to your attention. We're a little worried for you and your proximity to and that you may be UM's Connor Stallions. Yeah. Like, we feel like you might be the fall guy if something goes on, so just tread lightly.
I think we all know who the fall guy is going to be. It's someone that hasn't been around the program in 2 years.
Well,
same surname.
The fall guy always doesn't know they're going to be the fall guy, so we're worried that like they're bringing you in close, and this is how it happens.
I think this is the rare occasion where everyone knows who the fall guy is going to be.
Have they gotten your text messages yet, though? That's what I'm worried about.
Put it on the
I have started as a hobby repairing old vacuums.
It's a good question that Billy asked. Put it on the poll, Juju, please. Does the fall guy ever know that he's the fall guy?
We know with this case.
Well, that's what the fall guy would say.
It is the fall guy.
Is it?
The fall guy always thinks somebody else is going to be the fall guy.
I'm
Fall Guy-
definitely not the fall guy.
But the Fall Guy's
That's
not,
exactly what
the
a Fall Guy would
is
say.
not
Definitely not the
self-aware.
Fall
I
Guy.
don't think of the Fall. You get bamboozled, you get cornered, and then the Fall Guy looks up and he's in jail, and he's like, "How did that happen?"
The
I
Fall
never
Guy is the
saw
guy
that
in the
coming."
room that when the authorities come is like looking like, yeah, I can't. And then the hands are behind the Fall Guy's back and he's walked out. He's like, what? What? All the people are over there.
Sounds like you guys had a lot of fun yesterday. I'm sad I missed it.
We're
It's
just worried is the thing.
It's Johnny Depp and Blow
Yeah.
sitting at the table when everyone else is in on it, and he and everyone else.
He's got the little belly,
but
too.
He was so happy just seconds before, not knowing he was the Fall Guy. Just seconds before, was as happy as he'd been. He made it back in the game. And it'll probably be, yes, you're correct, John Ruiz as quietly, after making a lot of noise as a billionaire, and then all of the headlines after that being some form of that money's not real, it's not in any way real.
Even though it was real and stood up to compliance, and not just with the NCAA, but also the SEC and not the conference. So, like, inevitably, there will be an article written in a couple of years, and I'll have to remind everybody, like I'm telling you right now, Guy hasn't really been involved in the last 2 years. And in the last 2 years, Miami has found a way to have consecutive top 10 recruiting classes.
You look a little Paul McCartney-ish.
I do. It's a wig. I had to steal Jeremy's wig because the Ron Burgundy costume did not have a wig that came with it. And I mean, we got by with Jeremy because Brian Fantana famously has sideburns and a Fu Manchu.
Yeah, I got a haircut.
And if you had that wig, you'd be a little George Harrison-y, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. We could have. There's another punishment that was supposed to be people dressing as the Beatles, so we probably could just tweak these and make that work, somewhere down the line.
Dan would love that so much.
God, I can see the wood.
One of the things
Norwegian would.
that I appreciate, it's a deep cut. One of the things that I appreciate about the costume that you're wearing, not just because I have a kink that's now out in the open about how much I enjoy the costumes, is that you're saving the company money by wearing a jacket that still has the tags on it.
Yeah, it's tucked in.
Which,
that was not for air.
Amazon, look away.
Yeah, that was not for air.
I know, but I do it too.
Also,
And
you can tell by my posture how deeply uncomfortable I am with it because I presently feel like I'm in a sausage casing. Yeah. If I yawn, my whole outfit would just explode.
it's too tight.
Yeah, it's very tight.
Are you feeling self-conscious beyond having the number 3 recruiting class in the
Feel great about that.
in the country? But are you feeling self-conscious because physically, look at Tony back there. Tony right there. That character has never looked that suave.
Whammy!
I mean, Tony looks sultry. He looks steamy back there.
Tony's had a glow up.
Dan, the key is to have the hat, right? You can't wear like a square like on your head like this. The hat has to be on a bit of a tilt. So when somebody looks your way, like just look at me right now. Ma'am? You kind of hit one of those. You got only one eye showing so they can see, but it's all about the tilt of the hat.
No, this reminds me of when we were in Austin for South by Southwest, and Tony just walked around for 3 days and just went sheriff to anyone who would look at him.
That's how it went in Texas.
Tipping his cap. Billy, your relationship with Tony is a complicated one. You usually lord over him. You've been here longer. You feel generally stronger than him. But when it comes to pulling off suave and style, I feel like you look at Tony with something that resembles disgust. Because I feel like he pulls it off, but I don't feel like you think he's pulling it off.
No, I complimented him on the outfit today. I said it was a good look, and I told him that he looks like a Mexican pop star that could win El Premio de lo Nuestro.
Gracias.
Yeah. Like, I could see him on Despierta America, like, singing his, like, latest hit, and he just does, like, a dance. You know what I mean?
I kind of do like a...
Yeah.
Handshake with
Or you do, like,
Bordelli
like,
Vodka.
Yeah, but Billy, you don't carry yourself with that kind of confident grace about
I don't need it.
about your style.
Yeah, I don't care what people think about the way that I look or dress. It's fine. I'm married. I gave up.
I'm married too.
You'll get there.
I won't.
How long does it take?
I do. That's it. It's done. I did. As soon as I do, I did, and it's done.
Well, you have to do the classes first, and then you got to do the wedding. It takes a little bit of time.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Did you give up so thoroughly that your marital vows should have been, I did? I hope that Jessica and Lucy enjoyed the Ryan Day presser. So close, Ryan Day. So close to a wildly successful season by any reasonable standard. But you lose at the end against Michigan, and now they get the glory and the shame of having to play Alabama in a way that is going to hurt. But we'll get to that Ryan Day presser in a second. First thing I wanted to put in front of you guys, though, is what Guy Fieri is saying about his inheritance, his money, and his kids. And he quotes Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal has said to his kids, "You're not rich, I'm rich." And Guy Fieri is of a similar mindset where he says, quoting Shaq, if you want this cheese, you got to get 2 degrees. And in 2 degrees, he means postgraduate. He says, quote, I've told them the same thing my dad told me. My dad says, when I die, you can expect that I'm going to die broke and you're going to be paying for the funeral. I told my boys, none of this that I've been building, are you going to get unless you come and take it from me.
Legend.
Sounds like Greg Cody.
What is that?
That's good parenting. I like that. It's issuing a challenge to your children. I like that. I don't mind it. I'm sure they'll end up getting their nut.
Hell yeah.
But, just challenge them a little bit. That's a good job. I mean, they're in this bubble, right? They've lived a life of privilege, and you might as well, try to institute some kind of blue-collar work ethic there. I like that.
Isn't this akin to something that, I don't know if your guys' parents ever said this to you, but mine used to say this to me, like, this isn't your house, this is my house. Yeah. You don't own anything in this house. I do. And I'd be like, okay, just wanted to go out and see a movie with my friends.
Yeah, coming from Exiles, the visuals I have that I most remember of my childhood are my father standing over the checkbook as my mom filled anything out and reminding us at every turn, who do you think's paying for all of this? But I do have a lot of friends who have money or have had success, and they do worry that they make their children soft, like they don't know where the line is. I think there's a line between I'm going to give my children too much and you're going to pay for my funeral. I'm Guy Fieri. I'm going broke taking care of me. You don't have anything. There's probably a line somewhere between those two things.
How about just parent your kid? How about just teach them morals and values while still having money? Make them so that they're never wanting, but that they're also, never needing. You could be in a place where you parent your child to be able to have, respect for money, even if they have a lot of it. I don't understand. Instead of threatening your kid.
Jeremy, but you also didn't grow up with $175 million access to a family. So it's very easy to say that from your perspective, like, yeah, just parent your kids. But when you're the person with $175 million, kind of like, okay, I'll have somebody else raise the kid.
Well, I guess that's the part, right? Is if you're just going to have someone else raise the kid, then don't threaten the kid that they're not going to get your money because you've been spending it on not parenting your kid.
What if I make it a YouTube ad while she's on the tablet?
No, the way to do it if you're super rich is like what they do in Downton Abbey. You have someone else raise the kids, and then they come out for like breakfast and playtime, and then they go back, and you never see them. Those kids all turned out fine.
It seems extreme to threaten your kids with, I'm dying broke, you're paying for the funeral. Like that.
It's not a threat. It's more of a warning. Start saving your allowance now because you're paying for this.
Oh, a HUD.
I think, what is it closer to, a warning or a threat? Because it seems aggressive. It seems aggressive when you're a multimillionaire making whatever it is. I mean, what's he worth? 70? How much is he worth?
170 now, Dan.
He's worth 100.
Just signed a big $100 million deal for 3 years.
What's the salary for Mayor of Flavortown?
I thought
it's a public service.
It's
really.
juicy.
Yeah, you do that job for free to serve the people.
So you make the money from lobbyists
and construction companies.
I feel like it's more than a warning. I feel like it's closer to a threat to tell your kids, I'm going to be broke and you're paying for the funeral. You're basically threatening them with dad's going to be reckless with his money for the rest of his life and you're never getting any of it.
I would say that Guy Fieri does, just off appearance alone, fit that profile. Yeah.
You think he's reckless with his money?
His shirt has flames on it.
Yeah, but he has like one of them.
He's got a beautiful house in Northern California. Also, his son Hunter's been on a lot of his shows. During the pandemic, Hunter became kind of a mainstay on Triple D's when they were doing the pandemic episodes via Zoom with all these restaurant owners. And Hunter has now come up through the Food Network, I guess, talent sphere and has made a name for himself on Food
Look at that,
Network.
doing it on his own via nepotism. That's great.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does Guy Fieri look like he is reckless with his money? Lucy, can you give me some context for how you feel about the Ryan Day press conference sound that we're about to play?
No, I cannot. I was busy hanging out with my friend. I haven't seen it yet.
Jessica, can you give me some context here? Because Lucy was too busy not working, not preparing, trying to make friends. What do you mean? What are you getting mad? You were with your friend, but this is your wheelhouse. You and Jessica have a hit new podcast that now has a
foot.
It's a segment.
Foot.
And no foot.
Foot.
There's no foot. No foot.
Surely,
Lucy
Jessica
did what Jim Harbaugh does on National Signing Day, which is do other stuff. An interview for NFL jobs. I'm just kidding.
I
Michigan
feel like
fans are gonna
National
get so
Signing Day
mad.
means nothing anymore. Because, like, these aren't actual commitments. And then there's another signing day in the spring, and half these people end up leaving anyways.
No,
like,
these are actual commitments. In that early signing day, you have to send a letter of intent, which is binding. But now there are ways, as we saw with Jaden Rashada last year, you can get out of it.
then not binding.
Depending on whether or not you were lured to that school under false pretenses, you can go through a process, but it's not guaranteed. You can't just say, I'm undoing my letter of intent. So there is a process to it.
But you can also transfer now after your freshman season with no repercussions and potentially transfer more than once. So it is definitely changed in that it's not – your recruiting class isn't the end-all be-all of the amount of talent you'll have on your roster in a given season. That's the biggest change, is that you can have a worse recruiting class, but you can bring in talent and plug holes and still have a successful team.
The part that I would like some help with here, because we've been doing this in September, it'll be 20 years that we have been doing this. And I can't recall a time ever in this show's history where we have spent any time, never mind multiple segments, I'm talking about any time on the microscope is on the high school kids. We have always skipped past this day as something someone else cares about. And it seems to me both an unusual evolution, but an interesting one if college football is going to be king sport number 2 and people are going to want information on how the business is changing, because we've really made it something. Like, this part is both crass and wonderful commercially for me as capitalism. It's like, yeah, who wants to buy their way into this game? Here we go. We're starting right now. You're going to get to enjoy where the quarterback salary goes from $1 million to $2 million to $5 million. And who wants to play? The Texas A&M oil money? Is Lincoln Riley going to be exposed as an offensive coordinator? Because you got to figure out the business parts of this. You can't just run around with your quarterback. The business parts of this matter. And I'm looking at who might get ahead more quickly just simply because they're spending dollars.
It doesn't always equal success. I mean, a couple of years ago, Texas A&M had the greatest recruiting class of all time, and now Jimbo Fisher is out of a job. Especially with the portal nowadays, there has been a dilution to early signing day, but it does give you a certain amount of lottery tickets, and all you're trying to do is sack as much talent as humanly possible and hope that it gets you in an expanded college football playoff.
I love college football so much, but honestly, early signing day, this whole recruitment process, they kind of lose me on it, just because, like, I don't ever find myself that intense with, like, here's what all these 17 and 18-year-olds are deciding to do. Like, my favorite team is a school that doesn't recruit particularly well. They're like a developmental type of program. So this has never been a day that I've really put that much stock into. And now with the transfer portal, I don't even think about it.
I find it fascinating because NIL has indeed leveled the playing field in that a lot of talent is going to a lot of places. Lane Kiffin has spent 3 years trying to engage his NIL collective, and they finally made inroads, especially in the portal. You have a school like Mizzou, which is becoming an NIL powerhouse. You have Nebraska back in the game, and you have a lot of these top players not just going to one or two schools right now, so I do find that fascinating.
Is Mizzou ahead of the game now? Has Mizzou just made itself a power? This isn't one trip to the top 10. that is Mizzou a SEC afterthought now in the game
Yes.
for good because they're ahead of the game and the business of the game?
Mizzou is in a really interesting standpoint, or because the state law in Missouri is that if you go and play in state for your sport, you can earn NIL money in high school. So they have found like the perfect, just like legal workaround to keep all of their top talent in state.
Yeah, the program itself might not be ahead of the game, but the state is, and other states are envious. Arkansas basketball also has a similar situation, which Musselman just did crazy damage in the transfer portal and basically got everybody. Several things in this country depends on what state that you're operating in, and that kind of determines your advantages. So a school like Mizzou, I do think, is going to be hanging around, and it is sustainable. They got the number 2 recruit in the country, and they're linked with damn near everyone in the portal. So that's a legitimate power that's going to be second round, I think.
Let's get to this Ryan Day sound, please. And I will ask indulgence of the audience here because I understand if many of you are objecting to how much college football we are talking.
It was early signing day.
I am more interested here than I have been in a long time. But go ahead and play this Ryan Day.
Well, let me provide some context of what this is right here. Jeremiah Smith, the nation's number 1 recruit, a player whose player comp by 247 was Julio Jones. He is as can't miss as a South Florida wide receiver prospect as there has ever been. And it was not without drama last night because what we're going to play here is Ryan Day finding out around 12:30 in the afternoon that Jeremiah Smith has indeed committed to Ohio State. Now, he was committed to Ohio State throughout this entire process, but they had to fend off Miami and FSU to a degree, but FSU didn't make the table in terms of hats. And Ryan Day, you could see on his face exactly how afraid he was. Now, a fun part of this story is Jeremiah Smith didn't actually sign his letter of intent for another 11 hours. But here's Ryan Day finding out that the hat that he put on his head was an Ohio State hat.
Really?
Yes, really.
It's real.
Yeah.
There's pictures, there's video.
How nervous were you?
Yeah, if you want to take us through your emotions real quick, how you feeling?
You got to address
The floor is yours.
You got to address that one.
Yeah, well, I don't know if everything's in yet. Jerry, you got to check to make sure it's in.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, you want to check with Justin?
Yeah, before I do something and get myself in trouble.
All right, his knees gave, and he looked like he was hyperventilating, and all of that creeped me out a little bit.
Yeah.
It feels wrong.
Yeah, well, the part that felt wrong was he got a little bit of a reaction after the first knee buckle, and then Ryan Day, the performer, revealed himself. Oh, you like this, huh? Here's a little second knee buckle. Oh, what Jerry found out, I'm sure gave him nightmares for several weeks afterwards because it got really interesting after that Ryan Day moment, and Miami got really close. Miami got really close to having one of the greatest highway robberies in the history of the sport.
But it's gross. It's gross for an adult to be that happy about his career chasing a 17-year-old around trying to convince him that this amount of money is better here than that amount of money.
Does it make you
there.
feel less gross that Ryan Day isn't actually doing that much work? This is all Brian Hartline.
It's other adults doing his work on behalf of seducing kids. It's all a little bit gross.
Whoa.
Just for money, though.
Whoa.
Billy, I don't think that I would necessarily describe you as gullible, but I would describe you as generally susceptible to a social media scam.
I can believe that.
Are both of those things the same? Are you someone who is gullible about social media scams, and next thing you know, you're making a flavorless, colorless gummy bear that is twice as large as the average gummy bear because someone told you on the internet to put it in your fridge for a while with some salt on it?
Well, that did grow. It didn't grow to the size that it was supposed to, but I also took it out after a couple days because it was taking up a lot of space in the refrigerator. So, I'm not 100% convinced that if I wouldn't have followed that through for a month or a year or whatever, that it wouldn't have been the size of a 10-pound gummy bear. So I didn't give up on that one. But Dan, I think that
you did give up on that one. Yeah. You did give up on it.
Well, technically, yes, but I wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Okay, because you haven't finalized the experiment.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
so- okay.
Yeah, no, I stopped on the I got enough information on that
It
experiment.
grew a little, not enough for your liking, and you just gave up on it. You will never go back to that experiment again.
Well, I don't know about that, but I also know that I don't rule what goes on in my refrigerator. And when I'm taking up a substantial amount of space with this giant Tupperware filled with water and a tiny gummy bear in it, and I'm told we need room for milk, then the gummy bear has to go.
So the Tupperware that you put the gummy bear in was for something 8 feet by 8 feet, because you never knew.
Well, it's
how
like a
big this thing could
turtle.
be.
Yeah, it's like turtles grow to the size of their like aquarium or whatever, like the size of the thing that they're in. I don't know if you know that about turtles, but if you keep a turtle in a small thing, the turtle will stay small. If it's like in a big open thing, the turtles can keep growing. So I thought, you know what? If I want a big gummy bear, I'm going to have a giant home for this gummy bear.
It sounds like you have a pretty generally plentiful fridge if it doesn't have room for some gummy bear experiment. Like that your fridge seems like it might be fuller than my fridge.
Well, I mean, because I don't like going to the store often, but I have to buy a lot of milk for children. So, like, I'll go and I'll buy, like, 3 things of milk, and I'll keep them in there. Because if not, I'm at the store every, like, 2 days to get milk. So I just, go to BJ's, load up, because it's like $1 cheaper at BJ, save $3, probably spend $6 in gas to get there. But I save the $3, and then I fill my fridge with, like, 180 gallons of milk, and then I'm good. So I had to get rid of the gummy bear. So what you're asking me about, Dan, is that it seems like my phone's been listening to me again and says there's a sucker born every minute, and that sucker is Billy Gill. And I'm interested. I haven't committed to this yet, but I'm interested in this puzzle that's out there. Guys, there's this puzzle out there that when you build it, it's a QR code. And when it's built, you scan said QR code, and it tells you how much money you've won, because every puzzle is a winner. The $1 million puzzle. It's actually called the $2 million puzzle, and then I went to the website, and the maximum prize is $1 million, which I don't understand why it's called the $2 million puzzle. So it's this puzzle that you go and you buy. I think it's like $29 if you buy one, or like $19 if you buy one. But if you buy it in bulk, you're saving money. And then when you build it, you're winning money. So it's a whole thing. Now, here's the thing about it. No one's won the $1 million yet, because obviously you're not going to ship out the $1 million puzzle right away, because then no one's going to buy the puzzle anymore, right? I'm starting to think that most of the puzzles are like $1 puzzles, but then you could buy like a variety pack that's like a 4-pack or a 20-pack or whatever, and I'm starting to think that in those packs is where you could like slowly win, like, oh, I spent $60 on puzzles. Here's a $3 winner. Here's a $7 winner, and you still don't get the $60. Now, this is my challenge to the $2 million puzzle. I'm interested in this, but as you've pointed out, I'm a bit skeptical. I think Tony has heard about this too. I'm sure he might be skeptical as well. I'd like the $2 million puzzle to send us a puzzle worth like $50,000 that we can then scan and see, look, it's not just $1 winners. And then I feel like it's a good business investment for them, where they'd have us, credible people, vouching for them and their products, saying, you know what? Look, Billy won actually $50,000. Like, the winning puzzles are out there. He didn't win the $1 million. That one's still out there. But send me $50K, $75K in a QR code puzzle, and I'm good to go.
According to their website, there are 2 puzzles with $1 million inside. So I guess that's why it's the $2 million puzzle. There's one with $500,000, 2 with $250,000, and so on, until there are 597,720 puzzles with $1 inside.
Okay, credible people is what you called us while dressed the way
I'm a newsman.
You guys
We're in suits.
are. I do like the evolution of the puzzle to have a prize that is money. I did not know that the puzzle could evolve. Puzzles made a comeback during the pandemic, during the isolation of the pandemic, right? Puzzles made a comeback as a business. I do like the idea of adding money to it. You add some technology to it to modernize it, but if you make it all $1, that's not going to work. It's got to be more random than that. There's got to be bigger prizes more often.
Dollar doesn't scratch my itch, Dano. But you're talking about 500 grand, you're talking about $1 million. What if the puzzles went up in pieces the more money there is? So there's like $1 million puzzle, but it's also 1 million pieces.
Well, then
would you do it?
Yeah, you'd buy the 1 million
I
piece.
love
Would
puzzle.
you do it though?
Yeah, I would.
How do you put a 1 million piece puzzle? Like, where do you put it in your backyard? You're just like building it?
Well, the birds might eat some of the pieces if you do that. Do you guys do the very elaborate scratch-off games? Like yesterday, I came home and Lehman was doing scratch-off bingo.
Wow, there's a look into your future.
How does that work?
I have no idea, but it looked very elaborate. I love scratch-offs. I recently won $50 on a scratch-off ticket.
Take me now.
Can I explain to you, Jessica? Lehman is a sweet, creative person, and he loves the outdoors. Your future is possibly a fisherman coming from outside doing scratch-off things with his night times, and that being a wild elderly romp for him.
This was in the middle of the day, Dad. He loves scratch. He gets me a scratch-off like every time we go to Publix, which, like Billy was saying, is like every other day. But he loves scratch-offs, and recently I feel like this was a little bit of like, I guess, good karma, you could say, because my grandma was looking for pork neck bones to make her gravy, her Sunday gravy, when I was with her over Thanksgiving, and we couldn't find them anywhere. I called 8 different butchers to see if they had pork neck bones, and all they had were occasionally beef neck bones or no neck bones at all, but she needed pork. And so I kept calling, and finally I found a Publix a few miles away that had pork neck bones. So we went and we got the pork neck bones after stopping at all these different butchers, calling all these different butchers, and she was so happy. And we were like, wow, I can't believe we found them. Let's get a scratch off. And so we got a scratch off, $50. Boom.
Wow,
you paid for all those neck bones.
Did it pay for all the pork neck bones,
Yes,
or
it
were
did.
they more expensive
Pork neck
than
bones,
that?
not very expensive.
Not expensive.
Except for the stock.
Billy, what just happened with you and Jeremy?
We're doing a lot of math back here to figure out exactly how much money this company is making by selling these puzzles for $30 each. And then we're seeing, what if we buy a bundle for $125, we get 10 puzzles, how much money they're making if everybody buys a 10 bundle, and how much money they're actually giving away. Lots of math is being done back there.
I was hoping in our previous incarnation of developing a company that has its own following.
That would give away puzzles?
No, I was hoping that advertisements and sponsorship opportunities would make an appearance like that organically, where you're telling the puzzle company, hey, you want to advertise with a group of people who tend to support what it is you're advertising? I've got the team from Anchorman here, and they're ready to advertise on behalf of your puzzle. But where's our sales staff to do that? Why aren't we aggressively doing that?
Where's David Sampson?
Where can you guys get the puzzle that you want that makes you $50,000?
Well, there's no $50,000, so we'll have to settle for the $100,000. Yeah, because we're not going to 10. That's silly. Not for sale for $10,000.
Our show's relationship with sales is always, why don't they give us money? We like the thing. We talked about the thing. Give us money.
That's right.
Guys, there's only 3 hours before the delivery cutoff for Christmas on this puzzle, so we got to get this going right now. Feldman,
let's go. Let's do some moving or some shaking. Let's make something happen here.
Get me a puzzle, Feldman.
I have not yet caught up to the most recent episode of Hard Knocks. I have enjoyed Hard Knocks, but what do the group of you do with the following? Tyreek Hill came here to get stardom and to sports wash some of his past, and he's largely done that, where he is a star, talking about him for MVP, and very few people bring up horrifying details about his domestic abuse past. And it seems like sports has moved on to celebrate Tyreek Hill for being super fast. And we moved on like him fast. And
yeah, because he scored a lot of touchdowns.
That's right.
And now he's being featured on Hard Knocks, which you can also find on Max, just like us.
Yeah. That's correct. And as he's being featured, the one I saw, I haven't seen the most recent ones, was a very loving look. The optics were chef's kiss on what I would want. If I were his agent or anyone who cared about Tyreek Hill, that's what I would want. Go into his living room, watch him connecting with his new bride, tell the story of love, and don't touch too much on anything from the past. But now you're seeing reports of 2 paternity suits, 3 children in this year, and 7 children overall. And I'm asking you genuinely, as this whole climate of media and documentary changes so that the access, what you get in exchange for Tyreek Hill and access to him, is you're going to tell the story the way he wants it told, the way the NFL wants it told. But what do you do with those headlines up against?
I'm just learning about these headlines, by the way. It's not something that I've even seen on social media. I don't really do much because, I mean, what I do with paternity suits is I let those things play off. I think very much that falls in line with private life. If there was illegalities involved, I think that is worth a discussion. But he's newly married, too. I think when we apply context there, that matters. I don't really have much to say about Tyreek Hill in this latest news stream. I have, as someone that's experiencing this from afar and seen plenty of people, how can you not root on this offense? And he's at the forefront of it. A lot of people forgot. a lot of people who felt strongly about the Dolphins' reported pursuit of Deshaun Watson. And not that these are the same things, are cheering on Tyreek Hill as he rushes into the end zone, being faster than everybody else. It's just fandom.
When I see these headlines, though, and I see the Mac story, one of them seems true, the other does not.
All right, I'm going to mic Dan. Oh, almost have the whole outfit unravel there. There we go. Jess, you're gonna have to be miking Dan. I can't be reaching over the board like that. This outfit has to make it till 2:00.
You are a mess. What's the matter with you? You're wearing that burgundy. You're wearing the...
gained a lot of weight since what most people in our audience might describe as my heyday. The good news for me is I've lost 25 pounds. Thank you, Ozempic. But, I've kind of plateaued, and it's holiday season. I've bulked up, too. So the good news is the pants actually fit well. It's just everything else that's a little tight.
You're squeezed into it. Jessica, have you noticed he's moving very rigidly? Who's the best? Did you guys have a contest between who goes first through fourth on how good your costumes are?
You're so horny for us right now. It's crazy.
I'm actually now feeling very relieved my Veronica Corningstone costume didn't come in time.
That's too bad. I didn't realize it was supposed to be 5 of you.
Yeah, it is too bad.
I bet you do think it's too bad. Dan was just in the corner taking pictures. It was weird.
To send to McKay. I thought he would be flattered. His response was, "That's how my soul feels."
Well, sounds like a Hollywood cabal.
It's definitely
That's pretty
on the dark
cool
web right now.
What does that actually mean? That's how my soul feels?
I don't know, but I'm checking flight logs right now.
He's very worried about everything. He is worried about the climate. He's worried about politics, and he's hurting in general. But I would say to you, when Stugotz is now paying attention to the climate, and Stugotz is sending me texts about the ocean floor springing a leak.
Which way? Up or down?
Well, there are bubbles coming up, so I'm going to assume it's up. It's tectonic plates that have shifted, and now water that isn't supposed to be, it's not supposed to be an ocean floor with a leak. It's not actually a leak. What it is a spring. So it's sprung a spring, the ocean floor has, and it brings the potential for earthquake.
Billy, do you think Stugotz just watched The Meg? Because this is the plot line to The Meg.
Was The Meg too good?
I can't stop.
The trench.
I cannot stop stopping on it. If I'm flipping through the channels, I will stop every time because, okay, here's Statham and he's on a jet ski and it's a giant shark. And okay, you got me. I'm sorry.
This is also historically in cinema how a kaiju appears.
The Meg trailers are great because it looks like it's going to be a really, really scary movie and then a giant shark appears.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the shark movie was made correctly the first time and every single time after that has been less than the first time? Do you believe that Jaws, the original, is the best of the genre, 50 years of genre that it has spawned?
Jaws sucks.
Jaws sucks.
What?
Yeah, Jaws sucks.
I don't think it's
finally
aged well, animatronically.
Yeah. Not at all.
I mean, the shark looks really fake.
They build some great suspense. And they did the music well. They did the genre well, like you said. But overall, we could probably continue to make more.
No one's done better. What's the better shark movie?
The Meg 2.
Sharknado.
The Meg 2. Sharknado. Oh, thank you, Tony.
Sharknado 2, Sharknado 3, Sharknado
Rounders.
4.
They birthed the genre.
They didn't invent
Just
sharks.
because you got there first doesn't mean it's the best.
Exactly.
I didn't say they invented sharks. They invented sharks as a reason to further tell shark stories. I'm stunned to hear you guys say that Jaws sucks. Put it on the poll. Does Jaws hold up? And put it on the poll as well. Does Jaws still represents the best of the shark genre?
Here's the thing. If you have a movie that can transcend time, right? Your ride at Universal or at Disney will stay there. All of a sudden, guess what's not there anymore? Jaws. Why?
Jaws is gone?
Because it sucks.
It scared the hell out of me as a kid,
Wait,
though.
what did they
was
put
great.
there?
Now it's like the train station for the Harry Potter trilogy.
Yeah, it's like a
As it should be.
section, yeah.
To
King's
be
Cross.
fair, though, that particular thing at Disney World felt dated, just like the shark in
Universal.
Jaws. But it felt like it was out of the '90s. It was modern for the '90s, it wasn't modern anymore.
Man, if I could go back to the 1992 version of Universal Studios, I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. It was a perfect park.
I'm with you on that, actually. The Jurassic Park ride is still there, right?
Yeah.
See? There you go.
There's a new Jurassic World ride, too.
Is there?
Yeah, it's a roller coaster. It's really great.
E.T.'s still there, but E.T. can't contractually ever leave.
That's right. It's a fascinating part about that. Yeah, they can't. And Lord knows they probably wanted to. They cannot, because of the deal that they made with Spielberg, get rid of that ride. However, just adjacent to it, they're revamping that whole like Fievel Playland and Curious George into a DreamWorks land. And let's not forget, Universal's Epic Universe, a whole new park. A whole brand new park with several islands, and that's not Islands of Adventure. That's going to be debuting, I think, in 2025.
Do you think they regret that name? Because like they named it when Epic was a thing, and then they named it Epic Universe, and it's been like years with it's been under construction, and no one says Epic anymore.
Billy, is there anything
pretty chuggy.
you miss more from Disney than the ability to get free into these parks now that you have
on
kids?
Fleek Universe?
There's nothing I miss more, and I timed my children very poorly because I lost my Disney passes, and it is quite pricey to take your children to the parks. But you know what I was thinking, Dan? Now that the suits are in town, maybe that's like a perk we can add next year. You know what I mean? This is the end of the year. This is one of those things we talk about. Maybe everyone just gets annual passes to theme parks as part of like their arrangement.
How about we get a 401k match first, Billy? Is the Mummy still there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Mummy
still there.
is
A little
such
sad,
a
though.
great roller coaster.
A little sad.
So underrated.
And also, they had already tried to reboot the franchise with Tom Cruise, and that failed. So it's weird seeing skinny Brendan Fraser.
But he's an Oscar winner now, so how
Such
can you
a
get
good
rid of
movie,
an Oscar
though.
winner's ride, you know? What's your Rip Ride Rocket song? Everybody on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Shiny Toy Guns, La Disco.
Paralyzer
Wait,
by
I was the
Finger
only
11.
person?
Billy, go sit in the penalty box.
I don't think I
Billy.
understand the question.
I also did
Thank you.
Sabotage by Beastie Boys. That's one of the options.
Did you know you can get secret songs if you hold down one of
Yes.
the buttons for like
What?
10 seconds? It unlocks a whole other selection of songs. It's awesome.
What?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of disco songs. It's great.
Jeremy Taché.
Rip Ride
the
Rocket.
most Florida segment that we've ever done on
It's
this
so
show.
great.
Billy, get out of here.
Why?
Somebody writes in, what's up with people wearing costumes on this show?
You don't get the show.
We're forced to against our will. All to play to our boss's kinks.
Can you get for me, please, the still shot of Brian Kelly attempting to do the Heisman pose? I will get to that in a second. But before we do so, I just wanted to tackle something else that someone has written in. Everything I'd like to know, I genuinely like to know what the audience, especially the audience, given that most of it has come with us and is just generally aligned with who we are. Otherwise, why the hell are you listening to this thing every day? But someone writes in, everything anyone on the show ever says politically comes from whatever the media-safe center-left line of the day is. They never have anything to say that is different or contrary to that in any way in either political direction away from whatever the media-safe, perfectly politically correct line of the day is. They think people hate their politics because they're freedom fighters, but really they're just extremely boring and unoriginal when talking politics. I would cop to that, actually. I would say to you that my politics are simply, and I don't understand how it is that it gets distorted, can we be decent and not racist and sexist to people? Like, that's what passes for a political stance from me now these days, that where I am consistently is just there. It's like, okay, we disagree on vaccines and maxes, okay, but science kind of told me that the best for community good was to, I'm sorry, make you feel pressured when you didn't want to put something in your body. And that stinks. I understand how you wouldn't want someone like me telling you what to put in your body because science tells me that it's for the greater community good. But am I wrong when I say that the politics of mine or what gets extended to our show is some form of, can we just be pro-decency to people?
I personally am not overtly political. It's just things like truth and decency have since become politicized. And I will tell you flatly, it's because the right has just thumbed its nose at things like fact-based media and at times science, although we're quite removed from that discussion, and I don't want to conflate the two things. But yeah, I'm all about being decent to people, and it seems as though the platforms increasingly on one side of the spectrum don't really care for that. So yeah, I guess I'm political now because social issues are deemed political ones.
Okay, but I'm virtue signaling and I'm grandstanding by saying just can we be nice to others, people that maybe don't come from the same places or the same backgrounds as you? Can we, if you object to me saying, hey, can we be equal? Not threatening you, not yelling at anybody. If you object to the idea of can we all be equal, then can we agree on a working standard for what it is to be decent to others? It's sort of, I feel like my political stance is basically, hey, don't be an asshole to the server. Like, just don't be an asshole to the restaurant server.
Is this all because of that loser Aaron Rodgers?
Well, you're not helping.
Is that why I came in? Justice for Nick Bodden, by the way. The only thing we could say good about Rodgers yesterday was, oh, he's a good teammate. He's been helping everybody out. You know what? Someone got cut yesterday because he wants to hang out and look cool at practice. It's ridiculous.
You're not helping matters around here.
I think it's going to be cool when he trots on the field at week 18 to throw a 7-yard
Take a
slant.
knee.
A bubble screen.
Yeah, but that is a massive achievement. We've never seen someone tear their Achilles within 1 year.
Twice.
And it's going to be cool to see. I can separate some of that stuff when it comes to Aaron. It is a pretty cool achievement if he does it. I wouldn't call him a loser.
See, you're not helping matters, Jeremy.
He's a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, it's cool. He's good at his job.
Yeah.
He's a loser.
Oh, stop it.
It's not biased whatsoever with Jeremy. Don't worry.
He's not a loser. I just don't agree with a lot of the things he says.
He likes
but
attention.
Yeah,
Can we all
that's
agree
true.
on that?
He loves having his name in the news cycle.
To lie to us.
Unscrutinized
Over and
attention.
over.
Okay,
Who
but
doesn't like some attention?
I would accuse everyone on this show of that. Like, why'd we get into the vanity business? I'd accuse
I don't know
every
what you're
single-
talking about, Dan. This is selfless. I wear a costume every day, not for attention.
Whenever I'm asked about whether or not it bothers me that people come up because they think they know you on television, I'm like, well, if I didn't want that, I wouldn't be on television. Like, we all like some form of attention. Like,
But don't talk to Mike if you see him.
Ever. Stop.
Ever, yeah.
Or interrupt my dinners. That's a new thing. Stop it.
interrupt your dinner's level of fame.
Yeah, it's like a nice gentleman in a Buzz Lightyear hoodie who's probably listening to this right now. And I'm sorry.
Disney Springs?
No, this was at the other Mexican restaurant at Epcot, the one that was Bayside. And my wife was talking about my daughter's bathroom habits, and a gentleman in a Buzz Lightyear hoodie was looking at her, and I was hanging on every word about this conversation about poop. And my wife just off in the distance says, "Are you looking at me that way because I just spelled out the word poop?" And no, a guy in a Buzz Lightyear hoodie says, "No, I'm sorry. I know you don't like this. And I know you're having dinner, but I'm a huge fan of the show." And I turned to him and I said, "No, it's okay, man. And yet you're here."
All right, be decent to people, as I mentioned. Billy, also, I laughed because as Mike was seriously giving his point on politics dressed as Anchorman, you in the background were in the penalty box dancing in front of Universal.
Jess, can you please? Jesus Christ.
Can you guys be ready and help Mike back there, please? Because Mike is under it right now. Lucy, what are you making faces about here?
I'm just a girl, Dan. You're asking a lot from me today.
All right. I don't feel like I've asked for that much, but Mike Ryan is in a sausage suit, a burgundy sausage suit that is very tight. I believe. What are you laughing about, Tony?
Sausage suit.
I mean, it is. He looks
the color of a sausage.
But it's also he's uncomfortable in it. He's moving around in what feels like sausage skin that's going to break. Correct? You feel like it's also a cheap costume, is it not? It's like that's not.
This one's not too bad, but I don't like being at work and in costume. I think you've gathered that from my lack of participation. It's not my favorite thing. I'd like to be comfortable at work. I'm very uncomfortable right now, although my posture is impeccable.
Lucy, Jessica, I don't know if Anchorman is something that's before your time. I think there were a handful of people saying that they had not seen Anchorman in the other room. Do you guys have a ranking system on who looks best here? Who's produced the best costume?
I think it would be Tony, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Don't
like Tony's
feed
a
his
clear
ego.
number one.
If there's a way for us to make this a contest and call that a day, I'm good.
Yeah.
Tony wins.
We need to see. Okay. All right.
No,
sure.
no, that's not
fine.
how it works. It's 4
put on a
hours.
hoodie and I'm
No,
good.
it's 4 hours of punishment.
I want to see Jer Bear again with the wig on.
Yeah.
We will do that in a moment. I do have to tell the group
Say
something.
less.
In general, I think that's something people would like from me lately. I have to tell the group about something that I believe you guys will be shocked by, even though it's very hard to shock you when it comes to Stugotz's bad behavior. I've got an investigation I'm conducting now that the suits are in town for the holidays and stuff. I've learned something. What are you shaking your head about, Billy?
I just don't want to hear it. Whatever it is.
I think you're going to be shocked by it too, but perhaps you won't be. Perhaps you guys will marvel at the general grift.
I have something that you may be shocked by that we can talk about off air that I found
Double
out last
shock.
week. Yeah.
Does it have to be off air? Can it be on air? Do we run the risk of really pissing Stugotz off because some of his behavior is so bad?
He's gone until like a couple weeks from now, so I don't think he's going to hear it.
Okay, you don't think he's listening intently, caring about the show deeply when he's away?
I think we were both. I think we were both victims of the old switcheroo from him on the same day, last week one day.
Oh no, he has been doing lately the move that I did in college, where I would miss classes because I was working for the newspaper, but I would also tell the newspaper I had classes. And so I think what Stugotz has been consistently doing is getting out of here early or cutting corners by telling me he has something that he has to do for you and telling you that he has something he has to do for me, when neither of those things are true.
Absolutely correct, because that happened last Thursday, I believe, where I was called very early by him for an interview that shall remain nameless at the time. And he said, hey, I know we have something. Because here's the thing. I try to be very conscientious of the main show and the schedule, and I try to schedule things as far out as possible while also, like, you know, within a certain window. And obviously sometimes things come up at the last minute, so then we have like certain conflicts, whatever. But I try to schedule everything like as far off as possible to give us wiggle room, give him travel time should he choose to go home. So this was one of those times where we had something scheduled at 2 o'clock and you guys were doing something at 1 o'clock, and he's like, hey, buddy, I'm going to need you to do that interview by yourself if you can. It really saved me. Dan really wants me to stay for this interview, and I'm going to help him with this. And, it really would mean a lot. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, and I'm a little peeved and a little irked. But, by the way, spoiler for God Bless Football, Stugotz doesn't know what the word irked means. And I learned that this morning because he compared it to when you go to a haunted house and a ghost comes out and you get irked. So, anyway, so I was a little bit irked at the moment about this situation. And then, later on, we had another situation with an interview. And then when we were recording something the next day, someone says something like, oh, you weren't there for that. I go, what do you mean he wasn't there for that? Like, he told me he couldn't do this thing because he was saying, like, no, buddy, I told you that I didn't. And it's this whole thing. Yeah. And then this is the first time we're having this conversation. The reason I think that he missed that was to do something with me that he missed because he was doing something with you.
I feel genuinely bad for Billy on a number of different fronts here. I will reveal company business in ways that might be uncomfortable. Before I get to really revealing company business, get me John Reed from video, because I need to ask him some questions in front of you guys to I believe, shock all of you. Because I couldn't believe it when the suits came in and explained this to me. But Billy, one of the reasons I feel bad for Billy is because Billy, it's not just chasing Stugotz around. It's that Billy has really tried, because the last 18 months have been hard on me, to leave me out of all of the things that have been happening that make Billy have a lesser standing with the executives around here, because
I don't know where this is going, but let's talk to John Reed. He's in here.
Stugotz's sticks to Billy, and poor Billy ends up getting drowned in it. Yes, John, you are now here. And what I want to know is, what can you tell me about Stugotz's Secret Santa white elephant gift? We did it at the holiday party. That may have been the day, Billy. That may have been the day that Stugotz left early because he missed the holiday party. But he did manage to do something at the holiday party to make his presence felt and to cost the company money.
Well, I had never planned on telling you anything prior to now, and seeing all the executives here in town and receiving an email from accounting and I'm ready to snitch.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry to put
Wait,
you
what?
in this position. Yeah, well, hold on.
He
thank
told
you.
everyone, by the way, that you told him he didn't have to stay for the holiday party.
Well, he asked to leave, and I told him.
That's not how it was presented.
I mean, it's a big surprise.
None of this is surprising so far. He's a rapscallion.
No, but what about this part? I think this part is going to be surprising because this part was even surprising to me, and I've lived with this for 20 years. Look at Jessica. Jessica, what do you want this to be? Before I want some dramatic buildup here because, John, I appreciate you snitching here because the way this information got to me, my mouth was just hanging open because I couldn't believe the shamelessness of it. Billy, why is your...
I want gossip, drama, mess.
All right.
That's what I want.
This could be anything.
Okay. Well, let's take some... Before, let's milk this a little bit. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, you're asking for guesses. I think he tried to expense his holiday present.
100%.
I'm with that, too.
Well, what was his holiday present? He wasn't here. He did not participate in the white elephant.
That's the twist. I think he bought a present and decided to keep it for himself and still try to expense
We
it.
workshopped an idea for him earlier in the day because he didn't have a present where he was going to take one loose cigarette and put it in an envelope and make that his white elephant gift, which honestly would have been great, but I don't think that ended up happening.
Okay, just so that people know, the holiday party was lovely. It actually felt like a happy company place where music was playing. Greg Cody got his gift stolen 10 different times. Somehow, I've never seen that happen before. And security guard Frankie just reminded everyone at every turn that they could steal the gift. But in the middle of this, what was the gift that Stugotz eventually either had or submitted? Does anyone remember which Stugotz gift there was? Because I do not remember his presence being felt there in any way.
Oh, there should have been two gifts, a Tony Kukoc jersey and a bunch of candles from Bed Bath and Beyond.
Well, this is one of the things that happened that it delighted me with Greg Cody. It's not just that he got his gift stolen 10 times. It's that he ended up with a candle at the end, which is like the most thoughtless way to go by gift giving. I love candles.
John bought those.
Candles are bad for you.
No. I love candles. It's just an easy way to buy anyone in the world a gift without having to know that person at all. And I like candles too.
But in a white elephant, you don't know who's getting the gift. So it's a good generic, here's a candle.
Yeah.
I actually
Spoken like someone who bought a candle.
I bought a candle and then stole it back because I wanted the candle that I bought.
That is correct. They're lovely. I'm just saying, I every year with my wife, I'm deciding, well, what do we get that person who wants to think that we were thinking about them, but we really weren't?
But you buy those candles that have the diamonds inside of them.
Oh, well, no, the giant candles are nice. The big giant candles are absolutely a thoughtful gift.
Dan has candles that are a size we couldn't dream of.
That is correct. Giant candles.
So many wicks.
John, can you explain to me, though, how you got ensnared in this particular web? I don't understand how you're involved with any of this.
I ran into Stugotz in the kitchen, and he basically had me to go out and purchase two gifts for him for the white elephant party.
Like you're his administrative assistant?
Yes. But I didn't mind at the time, but now I realize it was bad.
Okay, so wait a minute. So wait a minute. He ensnared you in something that feels a bit like a crime now. You're an accomplice to a crime. I didn't even realize it reached this deep. So he sent you on an assignment and didn't give you any money.
Basically, I created digital fraud by using the company's credit card by buying a gift, which I was supposed to use my personal card, and I screwed up. It was a
okay, so now this is even more information than I knew.
Stop giving this information.
No, he's not.
The bosses are here.
As John's attorney right now, de facto, he is not going to say another word, Dano.
Okay,
you look
John,
like an attorney.
All right, John.
Allegedly.
I'm sorry I put you in this
Personal
position,
injury
John.
attorney,
All right.
Tony.
He will not be saying another word.
Hold on. Dan, grant him immunity so we can get the story.
Dano?
Dan,
It's
come
your
on.
call.
Please, grant him
Give him
immunity.
immunity, and then we'll get all the information. Clear immunity on everything.
I will obviously. What are you looking at me?
If he
this way
stole
for,
a cat
Mike?
at some point, whatever, all immunity.
Just physically
he's
uncomfortable. I feel like if someone shot me, the bullet would bounce off. That's how tight this outfit is.
You're physically uncomfortable, not with the story that
No.
we're
I
presently
mean,
telling.
I can't physically squirm because of how tight this
All right.
costume is, but I would be.
I have to.
I'm really irked right now.
I have to gather myself.
Immunity.
I'm not giving it yet, and I'm not giving it that easily for a certain reason, okay?
We'll trade.
I'm really
We'll trade
bothered
something
by,
else.
by Stugotz just approaching John Reed and saying, hey, go fetch
It's
me this
unbelievable. But you understand that I am presently getting more information than I had. I thought this was one kind of very simple thing. I did not think it rose to the level of crime.
Immunity.
I did not think it rose to the level of John Reed being ensnared in both administrative assistant and possibly bilking the company money on gifts that I have yet not seen and don't know how expensive they are.
By the way, I'm willing to pay for this and put it on my own card.
No. Wait till we get immunity.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can I get dramatic music, Mike? This is now escalated to an even better place than I thought. We find out if Stugotz has ensnared John Reed in a crime next. Billy, where are you right now with where any and all of this is headed? Because now there's more to the story than even I knew. I was bringing you guys information I thought was shocking enough by itself, but now this has layers to it that I hadn't anticipated. So I'm learning along with the audience what is where this story ends. Where are you with how you feel so far about Stugotz really sniper finding the mark? Right, because you got to do there are 40
Objection.
Billy, you can be you can be John Reed's attorney if you want to be, but there were 30 people in the room, and he knew not to ask some of them to help him here. He knew who to ask specifically to get accomplished what he wanted, which is not have to show any care whatsoever about the people in the company, the holiday party, gifts, anything. He outsourced all of his holiday giving in a way that might have ensnared a colleague in a crime.
Allegedly. We're going to need full immunity to get this full story.
Okay, and you keep asking for that, and you don't give me what I need, which is what the group is thinking right now about what Stugotz did.
We don't know the full scope of what he allegedly may or may not have did and how he may or may not have bamboozled my good friend John here.
I can say with certainty it was bad and wrong.
I've been able to piece it together, and it's not surprising.
Come on, Mike.
No, this is not surprising.
Mike,
at all.
you're not.
You asked for guesses at the start of this, and we guessed it exactly right.
No,
but we don't know that. We don't know that yet. Everything's an allegation at this point.
If everybody guessed correctly before the story was told, I think that is a very definition of not being surprised.
Agreed. I did sort of lead you there by giving you the information on the holiday party. It limits the amount of crimes available. I've got to tell you, though, Billy, your outfit
leading the witness
is
Objection.
absolutely cheap attorney. It is a cheap attorney's outfit.
Yeah.
You look so much like Saul Buena Gente.
Yeah, just based off this outfit, I think John Reed's going to jail.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Definitely.
John, stop.
John, we said do not speak.
John,
We said don't say a word.
Immunity or bust.
Okay.
Let the record show that the defendant thinks he's going to jail.
All right.
Strike that from the record, please.
John, I don't know how
Overruled.
how did this guy, wait a minute. Now everyone's fighting to be your attorney. I don't understand who made Jessica
Who's got the
judge.
cowboy hat, Dan?
John, this is where I'd like to start because I want to get all the details on this. So we have, I'm telling you, Mike Ryan, who's taken and making fun of me lately for being proud dad guy, made fun of me because during this holiday party when people were exchanging gifts and laughing, and I was moved by our company actually celebrating something together and seeming to enjoy itself, Stugotz did indeed request permission of multiple people to leave. And I told him, I'm not in charge of your schedule. I'm never in charge of your schedule. My answer has been consistent about that because I don't want him to feel like I'm his boss. You make your own decisions here. But he asked permission on things he knows are wrong. Like he knows he was the only one who wasn't at the holiday party. We were all working very hard. I don't know, though, John, when he recruited you. Like, what is the context? Is it the day before? Does he want to put no effort into his gift? How did he find you, and how did he get you to do this?
This was literally like an hour before the show started. But I will say this. If I had known he wasn't going to show up at the actual gift giving, I would have never put myself in this position.
I like that. That's great. Good. Stick to that.
And so he tells you how much to spend. Does he give you any money? Does he give you any guidelines? Where's he sending you and how?
Well, he pulls out $20, but I didn't take it because I knew that I could put it on the company card and expense
Oh,
it.
hold up. Hold on a second. Wait.
Sorry.
Whoa. He
gave you money.
He tried to give me $20.
Correct. Okay.
But I didn't have the gift yet, so I didn't want to take his money.
Well, I think that we need to start looking into what happened here and how premeditated this was. At what time did he ask you to leave early, Dan?
Oh, right before the holiday party was starting.
But he sent John allegedly on this gift-finding adventure an hour before the show started. So it seems like maybe there was never any intent for Stugotz to attend this party at all.
You don't say.
You're his attorney, I thought. I don't know why it is you would betray
Co-chair.
Stugotz, the money behind this scam operation. So $20, what was the gift maximum and minimum? What was the recommended amount of money for?
$40.
For
one gift.
Kind of high.
May I speak with my attorneys, please?
Yes, go ahead.
I actually did volunteer to give him $20 towards the gift, but...
So hold on, you volunteered to give your $20 along with his $20?
Yes, because we had other coworkers that needed a gift as well, and so I was just in a generous mood. So it wasn't just Stu, but I don't want to name any other names.
Who are they? Just so
hold
we
on.
know.
Yeah,
but now this is a RICO case.
We could hold on. This is what we can do is we can use this to leverage immunity.
Yes.
Down the road.
Well, here's my problem, my personal. I was already in hot water from a situation in Iowa.
Don't worry about that. Hey, that is across state lines. We do not worry about that.
So,
turn off the microphone.
Really sorry.
Turn off the microphone really quick.
Dano, on and on,
Dano, listen. We've got names that we are willing to give you.
I am dying to tell that story. I am dying. They won't let me tell that story of what happened in Iowa. I started to tell that when we were in California. And all
I want that stricken from the record, by the way.
All I will tell the audience,
Overruled.
Masking as much of this as I can for Lucy, that John Reed, who previously...
No one mentioned Lucy.
Immunity. Lucy needs immunity.
I don't know what you're talking about. Lucy's not a part of it.
Immunity.
RICO case.
Where did John go?
Lucy Lips sinks ships.
As Lucy's lawyer.
You know what? Jail for Jeremy.
Yeah, that's
Jeremy's
fair.
got to go.
Yeah, he's got to go.
John Reed's hot water before the Iowa hot water was showing up at a Panthers press box in full Panthers regalia, practically dressed as Stanley C. Panther.
Presented to the court Exhibit A.
Fine.
I have in my hands the actual Matthew Tkachuk jersey. By the way, Matthew, let's get it going, man. Yeah. A slow start to the
I'd
season.
have to see John in that actual jersey to see if that fits, by the way. I don't know if that fits John.
How do you know it was John?
I was an eyewitness. It's my jersey. I lent it to John.
Jersey doesn't fit. You must have quit.
Boom.
John Reed showed up and embarrassed Meadowlark Media by being a fan. Although I think I need to let go of my previous journalistic standards, given what Jessica and Lucy and Mike and Billy are doing to try and change the form of how news and information is given in the media space. So maybe we should have more fandom with our journalism. No one's got more than Jessica.
I gave up all journalistic credibility when I came here, Dan. So 3 years free from journalism.
That is correct. And John Reed was in hot water. And Lucy, I'm going to try. And Mike, help me out here, okay, with wherever the guardrails on this, because I don't know what's sensitive here. I've tried to talk about it before. I don't want to get anyone in actual trouble. But John Reed found himself in a situation in Iowa where he was in trouble with legitimate authorities because of something he and Lucy were trying to accomplish together.
Let's call Lucy to the witness stand.
For content. Lucy, please, I don't want to speak for you here, but I don't know where your discomforts are either. What can be said? And I should tell the audience, Lucy has fame in Iowa that predates us. Lucy is a known person around college football in Iowa.
She has influence there, which was helpful, allegedly.
Lucy is a bit of a star around Iowa football, even though she's always laughing at Iowa football. It's one of my favorite things. But you also are a polarizing figure because some people think you should be more respectful of the program.
Yeah, let's just say the Iowa Athletics Department, I am not their favorite person. So we went into this event at Iowa, allegedly, supposed to be on our best behavior, and that did not happen.
Yeah.
That's all you can say, Lucy. That's fine.
Well, that's
Do
all
not worry
she-
about it.
Tony's representing me, please.
We've gone far enough.
Oh,
What did John Reed do at this Iowa
We
game?
will not
It was-
mention that.
It was a game in the football.
Can
It was
I
a
say
women's
it?
basketball
Can
game.
I say it?
Yeah, go for
I
it.
don't know.
Go for it.
There's definitely like
actual laws that were broken, yes.
Yeah, and federal agencies.
Well,
involved.
someone who looked like John Reed was flying a drone over the open airspace over this basketball court, and the authorities got involved and said, "Hey, guy or girl, you can't be flying a drone over restricted airspace. This is a problem."
It was a mistake. It was an error by Meadowlark Media. It was an error by John Reed.
Uncertain who the error was by. Was the person wearing a Matthew Tkachuk jersey?
Okay, fine. Maybe it was. Circumstantial evidence suggests that our video person with the drone might have been involved. But
Well, he was holding the remote control.
Perhaps
so.
it wasn't him. But authorities did descend upon him. How many of them descended upon him?
I do not know because I was busy working. I was
I like
watching
that.
Caitlin
There you
Clark.
go.
Atta girl.
So I do not know how it happened, but I did give somewhat of a statement to a police officer.
Oh.
And now comes news that Stugotz found the exact person to go to get his gift purchased on the company card. It sounds like, though, Stugotz has enough in the way of cash and laziness to obscure the fact that he didn't actually need John Reed to commit a crime for him. John Reed chose that route all his own.
That is debatable.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean you don't know about that?
We don't know about that.
We've covered what is fact here. None of this is a bit.
He's an accomplice.
Our client was duped.
Well,
Psychologically.
that part's a bit.
Hoodwinked, Ben.
Psychologically duped.
The part that Tony and Billy are his attorneys. What John Reed is rushing back to the witness stand here. Hold on, we'll get your microphone.
Let me say this: I'm a bit of a renegade, realist here. And
be careful.
When we shot your music video last year, which got I think 40,000 views or so, I put a drone up on South Beach. It was a beautiful music video. That's true. The authorities did come after and talk to me.
I remember.
And we got away with it.
You're a guerrilla.
When I went, hold on, one more.
Guerrilla journalist.
When I went to Vegas with Mike Ryan and Chris Cody and Roy, I put a drone up on the Las Vegas Strip, which it's actually up on our YouTube right now. If you go look at Chris and Roy invades Vegas. So you either love me or hate me.
That's true.
And sometimes you got to take a little risk here.
Yeah.
Agreed.
In order to succeed.
So two of the three times that you put a drone into the air, authorities came to talk to you about it.
Yeah, and the police helped me in Vegas.
There you go.
Wow, so all three times.
Entrapment.
John, that's all of which is incriminating.
You would think around the
Like,
third
not- hold
time
on. It-
at
no,
a
no.
sporting event, you'd be like,
It is a baseline,
This is
Dan.
all
It's a baseline.
unrelated to what we were talking about to begin with anyways, and needs to be tossed immediately.
When he stormed
this
in
has
here-
absolutely nothing to do with the holiday party. And you know what? Mistrial.
When John Reed stormed in here, the thought that went through my head was he is most certainly going to further incriminate himself. And he did not disappoint.
It is fairly amazing.
Those were legal
Let it be
acts.
stricken from the
Thank
record.
you.
The police helped, Daniel.
He just told the judge, do you know how many more crimes I've committed?
Sorry.
I've noticed with the Meadowlark executives, they're a bit camera shy, a bit light shy. Sometimes when they're on air for the first time, it can be intimidating. We did this the other day to Taylor in a way that was unpleasant. It can be a little intimidating if you've been following the show for a while and take seriously the nonsense we're doing around here. Getting your first mic time can be like making a speech in front of a lot of people. You know that you're being listened to by millions of downloads a week. And so some people get scared with all the hot lights, and I wanted to get John Reed just, in the interest of being an employer who cares about people and their comfort, just getting him into a more comfortable, intimate space that is slightly less scary, where he's not surrounded by all of you and all of the intimidations that involves. So let's just get him to a quieter place so that I can ask him some questions about what happened with Stugotz. But before I get to John Reed and details on this story that I need to hear, because I really am learning this for the first time, and I don't know how devious Stugotz was here or how bad John Reed's just general judgment is, and he just committed a crime for Stugotz without intending to commit a crime for Stugotz. Jessica and Lucy have been dog advocates publicly, privately. Amin doesn't like that Willow is around. Willow is famous now. She is getting recognized in the streets. Lucy rented a dog for a while. We buried her unfairly. She did a lovely thing for a dog and helped raise awareness that dogs can use a little bit of love and you can rent them for 12 hours at a time. You did a wonderful, nice thing for charity. We buried you for it. How has Jessica been involved with any of your dog experiences? I saw the other day at a Laker game, somebody brought a dog courtside. I did not know that that was allowed. That seems like a danger. If an NBA player gets bitten by a dog that is, spooked by noise.
What if they need him to come in off the bench?
The
Air
dog?
Bud situation.
The dog.
No one says the dog can't play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
No one does say that. I saw a dog.
Famous line from Air Bud.
That's not a real dog,
rope.
Dan.
That
That is someone in a dog suit.
That doesn't look like a real dog,
You
does
were
it?
fooled
It-
again.
The guy next to him hates it, by
That
the
is
way.
a person in a dog suit. That's not a real dog.
it's
That dog has legs, human legs
no,
coming
it's-
out of its hind legs.
It's a real dog.
Why was it there? Was it a comfort dog of some sort?
It's apparently it's a famous TikTok dog that is also a service animal, and it was allowed
Not that
to
famous.
be
Lucy
courtside.
and I haven't heard of it.
Can you tell me what you guys have been doing recently that is dog-related sharing?
So when I took Miss Dolly out of the shelter, which, by the way, this is a thing you can do at a lot of shelters. We found you could do it in my hometown, so look into it if you guys are looking to take a dog out for the day. But so when I took Miss Dolly out, we went to lunch and we're just chilling, and Jess and Priya came to meet us there because they wanted to meet Dolly. Obviously, she lived up to all the expectations and more, and we're sitting there and we're enjoying our time with Dolly, and this guy walks by with one of the cutest little husky puppies we've ever seen. So Jess and I are like, wow, what a cute dog. And he's like, thanks. Do you want to buy it? And we're like, I'm sorry, excuse me? He's like, yeah, I'm selling this dog. I found it in my neighborhood and I'm selling it. And we're like, hey, you cannot sell a dog that you just found. Priya was just the hero of our story and was like, you are a bad person for selling a dog that you have found.
Priya basically immediately instilled shame into this man. So then he sat down next to us and was like, well, why shouldn't I be able to sell this dog? And she's like, this is terrible karma. You can't, you should not make money off of a living thing. This could be someone's pet. And then Lucy was like, we can take it to the vet. We can see if it has a microchip. Where did you find it? Blah, blah, blah. We started asking him a million questions. I was like, how much are you selling it for? He was like, $400. And I was like, I don't have that on me, but maybe we should just buy it and then figure out what to do. And then these other people came out of the restaurant and they were like, what's going on? And then we told them the whole saga. So then they got involved. And then all 6 of us were just bullying this guy into giving over the puppy because this puppy, it was so sad. It was tiny. It was so scared. It had burrs sticking out of its fur. It was limping. It was just the most afraid little puppy I've ever seen in my life. And we were like, we need to do something about this.
And he made it seem like he had found a stray dog. So we were asking about where he found it. He would not tell us exactly where he found it. He said, my neighborhood. Then we were like, where is that? He's like, 25 to 30 blocks away. We're like, do you not know where you found the dog or where you live? And he was like, I found the dog with a collar. And we're like, hey, if that dog has a collar, that's probably someone's dog.
It's
and he's
also
like,
a
no, it's not.
purebred husky.
Yeah, it was a purebred puppy. And we were just fighting with this guy back and forth because he was like, no, I'm going to sell this dog that I found. Why can I not profit from helping this dog? I'm going to give it a good home. And you're like, if you're just giving the dog to someone on the street, you don't know if it's going to a good home. And he kept saying, why are you trying to make me feel so bad?
All of you shame this man, and this is a distinctly Miami grift where someone thinks that taking someone else's pet and selling it wouldn't be something that would hurt the pet owner.
He was so afraid of Priya. So afraid. She put the fear of God into him.
It seems like she led the angry mob of, it wasn't just you two that rose up to indignance. You then got random restaurant goers to get in on your angry mob to shame this person who was, a nefarious capitalist.
Trying to make a buck.
So it then progressed to where Priya was like, you know what? Fine. I'll give you $100 if you give me the dog.
And she had cash on her.
She had
Thank
cash.
God.
Gave him $100, and then he went to the other people who we were with, and he was like, I heard you said you had $50. So he got $150 and was like, fine, we'll just go. And so the other group were like someone had a husky before, so she was like, these dogs run away a lot. So they took the puppy, took it to a vet to see if it had a chip in it. It did not. They have since been taking care of it. We trust them. But it was a really eventful lunch, and the whole time Dolly is just sitting there like a little angel, not causing any problems. And I was like, as you know, with the group there, when we were in between arguing, I was like, hey, do you guys want to meet Dolly? She is available for adoption if you're interested in dogs. She's a great girl.
Look, let's be very, very clear. I'm not for stealing of animals whatsoever.
Except for ducks.
Those you can take. That's not stealing. You can just take those.
Those are free.
Those are free. Again, not the point. The point is, if you steal a dog and then resell it, not good. If you find a dog that perhaps maybe belonged to somebody, perhaps may not, may have fallen off the turnip truck, you don't know. I should, not me, excuse me, somebody should, huh?
How old are you, turnip truck? What?
I was trying to relate to Dan, sorry.
Wow, you're trying to speak my language.
Whoa.
That was a little, Jessica, go sit in the penalty box.
No, she can't. Half her body will be gone.
Well,
Look
let's
at these
try it.
pants.
Priya and Dolly lead the woke mob is an interesting.
It did sound like a real life Twitter argument playing out.
What if
with all sorts of virtue signaling and some sincere people, other people like, yeah, I guess I'll join the fray. Shame on you.
It's like, you got $100 or not?
What if this other couple was in on it with the guy? Like this was their dog, and then the guy's there, and he tries to do this shakedown, and these are now allies of yours. You get the $100 from you guys, and then they're like, well, we have 50, and then they know they're going to get it back right away. And this is like a traveling con artist family circus type thing.
Suckers are born every minute, Dano.
Yeah, I just want to go back for a second. So you believe I come from a time when America was replete with turnip trucks?
Well, you know, the phrase turnip truck to connect with you.
To be clear, thank you for speaking my
Big year
language.
for turnips last
If I was
year.
going to rizz you up, it'd be a different story, but you know.
All right, so let's go to John Reed here. And Jessica, you're a legitimate journalist. Can you get to the bottom of this story? Can you do some work while you're in the penalty box here and just get to the bottom of what is the truth of this story and how much crime Stugotz was trying to commit and how much was spent on the gifts, how much was charged to the company, what were the gifts? I'd like some more details, please.
Don't say anything, Sean.
I'm a little afraid for John generally, because as he was being interrogated about what seemed like a potentially like gray area ethical issue, he admitted to actual crimes.
No.
Did not.
So I'm going to step out and let him handle this because he's the only one who really knows the truth.
Okay.
I feel more comfortable with you.
All right, Jessica. No, Jessica's leaving this to me. I'm going to do this alone here with John Reed.
John, you can have an attorney present, by the way.
This is all very uncomfortable. All right, John Reed, how much?
Yes.
How much did you spend on the gifts?
$68.
What did you buy?
I bought a throwback Tony Kukoc Bulls jersey, which was very popular in the white gifts exchange from what I
Yes, it was stolen.
Yeah. Yes.
And there were
not
white
a crime
people.
if you guys remember
Was
that.
that a
All
white-
of a sudden,
wait a minute.
we
It
were
was
looking,
taken by a white
not
person.
a crime.
Oh,
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
I didn't mean white gift exchange.
Don't worry, John. We're
White
good
elephant,
here.
white
I think
gifts,
good.
it's fine.
We're
Didn't
good.
Jeff
Don't
pick
worry.
it first and then someone stole it from Jeff?
You know what?
I would like to consult with my attorneys, please.
Thank you.
before
You're
any-
fine. Don't worry.
I didn't take it because I already have one. Actually, though.
This was indeed a white gift exchange when the Tony Kukoc jersey was wildly popular.
It was taken initially by Jeff.
Did you buy anything else, or was that the only gift? Was that $68, or there was a second thing?
Well, it was two things. It was a hoodie and also a Bulls jersey, but I took back the hoodie because I didn't want to get caught.
No, not caught.
do you mean?
What
Caught is a
that?
bad
No,
word.
no,
What do you
wrong
mean?
word.
What do you
I
mean
think what we
caught?
should be celebrating here is John sounds like he bought multiple presents for this exchange, all for under $68.
Well, I must say this. I was doing my job as the producer. This is my job to make things happen. This is my job to make sure
produce.
that the talent is happy. And Stugotz seemed unhappy that he didn't have time to go out and purchase a gift. So I stepped in as a producer and made it happen.
The hoodie, where was the hoodie? Did it get part of the exchange, or the hoodie you just took the hoodie and went home with it?
I decided to return the hoodie and get the candles.
yes,
Because
good,
the candle,
yes.
I realized that we do have a lot of ladies that work with us.
Well,
that
everyone likes candles.
No
I
one
love
really
candles.
wants a lot of sneakers and
We all like
jerseys.
sports,
and
though.
so I decided to buy candles
Yeah.
for the ladies.
A diversity of gifts.
Yes.
The candles were very popular. Greg Cody ended up with a candle at the end. Did Cody ended up with a candle at the end? Did Stugotz thank you for doing any of this? He didn't tell you clearly that he wasn't coming. How was it framed at the party that these were the gifts that Stugotz bought through you?
Well, he definitely didn't thank me. I haven't seen him since he had me to go out and get the gifts.
On the lam.
How does the group feel? All right, are there any other questions? And how does the group feel?
It's still unclear what the actual crime was here.
And if you're going to give immunity or not.
It sounds like, if anything, he just did a friend a favor.
And Dan, I must say this. The New Year's coming. I don't think you should harbor all these ill will feelings towards me. I'm a very responsible father of 3. And, I made a mistake with the drone in Iowa.
Bonafides.
And here's to my defense in Iowa. There's nothing else to do in Iowa but fly a drone.
All right, we
No.
can't defend this.
we're gonna stop.
You're
Everybody
making
stop.
it worse. John, get out of there.
Sustained.
You're making it worse. We do not have any problem with Iowa. Iowa was kind enough to allow us all the access that we wanted. Lucy and John made great content, and we are grateful that the Iowa authorities and Kirk Ferentz and nobody arrested John Reed for violating airspace in a way that seems dangerous in 2023. 2023 is not very media responsible. We are grateful to the good people of Iowa for being kind and generous to Meadowlark Media when Meadowlark Media committed airspace violations.
Allegedly.
Possibly.
And I did send an apology letter to the entire athletic staff
Very
and
good.
department. So
Handwritten,
That's
too.
great. There
Yes.
you go.
All right.
Dan, it's the end of the year. Should all acquaintance be forgot? You know what I mean? And never brought to mind.
Wow. Powerful
all
words.
acquaintance be forgot. And the days of auld lang syne.
I never knew that those were the
Rest in
lyrics. I understand like 4 of those words, too. I thought it was acquaintance. I'm like, yeah, I forget a lot of acquaintances. I'm bad with names.
I thought it was acquaintance.
It is acquaintance. What did I say?
You said acquaintance or something.
I'm not the one on trial here. John did it.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Because Jessica is such a giant Notre Dame fan, I feel like all of us sort of remember where we were or how the sport was shifting somehow when Brian Kelly decided to leave the prestigious institution of Notre Dame before money changed everything to join the SEC and make big-time football even bigger-time football. The coach at Notre Dame, that's supposed to mean something, and you go from there to LSU. It felt to me like we were all like, oh, that's interesting that they would compete that way against Saban. They're going to get the popular CEO from Notre Dame. And it seems like since then, because so much about the sport has changed, that feels more and more like we all overreacted to a hire just because it was the first one that sort of shook the economy of this sport. And we all now realize, well, there are probably 10 Brian Kellys you can get as long as you make sure that one of them that you have is someone who can run the business of the sport or figure out how to live in a changing sport. But it seems like every bit of Brian Kelly news or optics since then has been something to shame him as some sort of clown.
Well, okay. There are several things in that intro that I somewhat object to. I think the reason that he was hired at LSU was a reaction to a lot of the big contracts that other head coaches were getting around the same time and years previous. And he left because they were offering him like $90 million guaranteed dollars for 10 years or something like that to coach. I can't remember the exact terms. But now that he's at LSU, and I don't know why this didn't happen as much when he was at Notre Dame, because he was still doing kind of the same corny things. Like there were several Brian Kelly memes that maybe I was the only one paying attention to because I was in like Notre Dame land, of him like doing the peace sign while he was kneeling down or doing like, dances and stuff like that in signing day videos. And now he's doing that at LSU, and it feels like everything's getting amplified like 20 or 30 times more than it did there. But he's been the same guy the whole time. Like he's the same coach that made a very poorly delivered joke about wanting to execute his players after the Florida State Notre Dame game in 2021.
I would love to hear the perfectly executed joke on
John
that.
McKay did it perfectly in the 70s, that same joke, and somehow Brian Kelly not only butchered it, but was copycatting it as well.
Yeah, part of it is like his act kind of flew in Indiana, where it's just everything about Brian Kelly in the Bayou seems like an odd fit. And he confirmed all of that when he put on an accent in his first introduction to LSU Nation when he said his family.
Maybe that's it. I think maybe that was such a viral moment that now every subsequent thing has become like part of his ongoing weirdness there. But yeah, like you're onto something, because Brian Kelly he's from Massachusetts. He's Irish. He was a coach at a bunch of schools in the Midwest before he went to Notre Dame. And even though he was a very polarizing figure at Notre Dame, he won a lot of games, and fans kind of put up with him being a weirdo sometimes and thinking he was really funny at times during interviews, but not really being that funny. And the fact that it's such a weird fit seemingly at LSU, and he put on a Southern accent briefly for some reason, I think has amplified that to a group of people that maybe weren't following him before.
You know what's been really weird about this year with Brian Kelly, and despite having several losses, all the people voting on rankings still rate them highly, is he's taking the Jaden Daniels Heisman Trophy win as a pretty big Brian Kelly accomplishment to kind of satiate anybody that might have an issue with their, I think, subpar performance since he arrived. You have to give him some credit for a transition, I guess, but that's not really what the sport's about, individual accomplishments. And it seemed at a certain point in the season, he knew that that's what the aim was and that's what the goal was, and he's conflated that with overall success, and he seems to be relishing in it.
Well, you have to recruit however you recruit, and I've got a quarterback who averages a first down every time that he touches the football is the best thing that he's got to sell. I'm more interested when, Jessica, you're objecting to whatever it is that I'm saying there. I just view that spot going from Notre Dame to LSU got everyone's attention, and it seems like we've gotten nothing but corny from him since, including this now that you have, and we have the still images up of Brian Kelly apparently doesn't know how to do the Heisman pose, but I was of the feeling when Brian Kelly switched schools, it was the SEC saying some form of that we don't even have to be Alabama or Georgia to steal Notre Dame's genius, resident leader guy who's going to be better at leadership than others, and what he's done publicly since then shows corny judgment, correct?
Well, I think it was LSU's athletic director saying, like, I'm going to make a splashy hire here because that's what I do. I'm the guy that makes splashy hires.
Splash.
At athletic departments. Like, he hired Kim Mulkey the year before and gave her the highest salary of any women's basketball coach. And then he hired Brian Kelly. So I think there is something. I'm done. I can't do this next to problematic Joe Zagacki having the hots for Kim Mulkey. I'm sorry. This is where I draw the line.
Something about her.
Two of them. I draw the line.
You're surrounded by...
They call it a je ne sais quoi.
You're surrounded by
Sequence really gets me.
I'm sorry about that.
Political views. Don't forget those.
Billy, you are looking forward to this break more than most, I would assume, given the fact that you get a reprieve from the insanity that is 15 hours of chasing Stugotz around every day.
Hopefully.
But you have fallen how far behind on all of your viewing, given that God Bless Football and two children are chewing up your life? What are you watching these days on television? Are you still with the reality shows?
Well, I have games 4 and 5 of the World Series still that I'm going to get to now this coming week, and I'm pretty excited because I was tipped off and I know what's going to happen. But I could probably skip those. So I have the World Series. I also have, I don't know how you guys deal with like cues on different, streaming platforms or whatever, but like I'll see a movie or whatever and then I'll put it in my queue. And I've realized over the past, I don't know, however long it's been, I don't actually ever go back and watch any of that
Neither
stuff
do I.
ever.
Neither
My
do
queue
I.
is full of things that I tell myself that I'm going to watch that I'm not going to watch. But recently I've been seeing things like a movie or two on like each thing. but I don't want to put it in my queue because I know that that's like a death sentence for this thing. So I'm going to make a handmade list, and I have like 6 or 7 movies that I want to watch. I have shows I want to catch up on. I have to catch up on Hard Knocks. There's lots of things, Dan. Reality shows. Yesterday, Survivor ended. Dee from Miami won Survivor. Spoiler alert. In like an incredible badass move at the end when you do the things with the jury where you're talking. She was leading on this poor little boy, Austin, and they fell in love, and it was such an adorable story, and she lied to him. And he confided in her that one of her allies, this is all spoiler alerts for anyone that still watches Survivor that's under the age of whatever.
It's just David Sampson.
Well, so anyways.
Do any of you watch Survivor?
No one.
I've never seen a single episode of Survivor.
It was a great season.
I saw the David Sampson episode.
Well, anyway, so he told her like they were gonna eliminate her friend, and then she went and she told her friend, and her friend used an immunity idol and saved herself, and then eliminated someone, and then she eliminated his best friend and didn't tell him so that he couldn't save his friend, and she lied to him, and she said I didn't tell her, and it was a whole thing. We don't need to, this isn't about Survivor though. This isn't about Survivor. She made him look like such a dummy though in the finale. Because in the finale, he was there. The jury was like, she didn't do this. And he's just defending her. He's like, no, she didn't ruin that plan. She didn't tell Julie that she was going to do that. And then she turns, she goes, let me stop you. I did tell Julie, and I lied to you about that. And boom, that's how she won the $1 million buckaroos. Anyways, what were we talking about?
I was asking you what you were going to be watching over the next 10 days because it seems like your whole plan for the new year, your resolution is to simply get caught up on everything. I did want to ask the group, do you guys get to anything in your queue? Because if I put it in the queue, it's because I didn't want to watch it then, but I was thinking maybe I'll want to watch it later, but then I never go back there.
Okay, that's the thing. And I was talking to Master before when we were out here, and we were kind of like aligned on this. I will put something in my queue, and I'll be like, I'm not going to watch this right now, but I'm going to get to it, and then spend 40 minutes looking for other things to watch, and then deciding, there's just nothing on here, and then I leave. And that's why things stay in my queue, because I decided I'm going to see this at some point in time, but absolutely never go back and watch it, ever. And even if you do watch it, here's a follow-up question for the class, if anyone cares to participate in this conversation. Here's a follow-up question. If you do go into the queue and watch things, do you remove it from your queue?
I think, don't they self-remove if you watch them? No?
I've never watched anything in my queue. I don't know how it works.
I've been watching The Crown for like 20 years, it feels like.
Really? I don't have
it's
a queue.
the new season.
I don't have a queue.
Everyone has a queue.
No, I don't have a queue.
No, everyone has a queue.
My queue's in my notes app.
I go into Ken Burns' documentary on the Roosevelts knowing that it'll take me 1.5 years to finish. And I'm proud to report I am on track.
Do you want a queue?
No, I don't have time. It's just always Cocomelon and like.
That's the thing is you ask me what I'm going to watch, and it's like probably The Grinch 600 times and probably Sing 2 another 50 times, which I've seen it so many times.
Sounds like you have a problem with your queue, Billy. Maybe you should join QAnon.
Get out.
That's in my queue.
It's really good.
It is good.
Yeah?
That's
Adam McKay special, yeah.
McKay
There's like a new QAnon bubbling, and it's on MV Purdy. Like the Brock Purdy fans out there are deeply passionate about it, and if you trifle and you don't put respect on Brock Purdy's name, they will come after you.
Purdy is the new Tua.
Yes.
Purdy is the new Tuanon.
Yeah, in terms of social media engagement, Brock Purdy gets it done. You should probably talk more about MV Purdy.
Let me clarify something. I was saying that Get Out is in my queue, not the QAnon thing.
The QAnon thing is really good, though.
It is really good.
It's really good.
Let's clarify. The QAnon documentary, not QAnon itself.
Yeah, you get it, Jeremy.
Well, I thought it was important considering where our, conversations went yesterday on Aaron Rodgers, that loser.
Please stop calling him a loser. I want more Zagacki pining for Kim Mulkey. Hubba hubba.
What's up? All right, everybody, Thursday Thunder time as I adjust my cowboy hat. We've got a big one for you tonight.
By comparison, over the last few weeks, this does actually feel like a big game.
Yeah. 2 7-7 teams fighting for a last little playoff spot. Rams been playing good. We're going to take 2 anytime touchdowns from this game.
Wow.
Yep.
You think we're going to have 2 touchdowns?
We're
going to
have more than 2 touchdowns, but we're going to definitely have 2 from these gentlemen right here. Number 1, anytime tutty goes to Kyren Williams, who's excellent, by the way.
He's awesome.
We haven't talked about him at all.
He runs very hard.
He's really good.
I think, does he still lead the league in yards after contact? And he's proven that, he's a lot better than the rest of the running backs that they have on the roster, because when he's missing, you notice.
And he missed like 6 weeks with an ankle sprain too. Second anytime tutty goes to the one and only Alvin Kamara. So we've got 2 running backs, 2 anytime tutties between 2 teams on prime time Thursday night football, brought to you by Amazon. And then we're not going to go against history here. Okay? The Detroit Pistons have lost, by my count, 24 games in a row. They started 2-1, Dano. Did you know that?
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Did you know the Detroit Pistons started 2-1?
They started 2-1 and now have lost 24 consecutive games. We are going with the Utah Jazz on the back-to-back, second half of back-to-back. Utah Jazz, we're going to take them -1 against the spread.
This is the spot for the Pistons to win.
No, we're going to roll it back one more time. Pistons lose again in a heartbreaker. We're taking Utah Jazz -1 and 2 anytime tutties, Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara.
Congratulations, Detroit Pistons fans, on your first win in your last 25 games.
As a reminder, Thursday Thunder is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. You can follow our parlay on the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
I am embarrassed to say that while Tony was talking, I was enjoying a better show on television in here than the one we're doing. Dan Orlovsky, dressed as some sort of elf glasses wearing person in a burgundy suit.
That's just his suit.
A better burgundy suit than the one Mike Ryan is wearing. Did Dan's A-list top 5 Christmas likes, where he just ranked the things that he likes best about Christmas. He is a famously bland human being. His flavors on food are famously bland in a way that's fairly disgusting. But Orlovsky and Christmas likes, his number 1 is the same as my number 1. This time of year, I'm on channel 79. Holly, my favorite Christmas like is Christmas music. I enjoy Christmas music this time of year. I'm embarrassed.
What's your favorite?
Really? I'm embarrassed to say it.
What's your favorite little ditty?
Well, Little Drummer Boy is my favorite of the Christmas songs. Yes,
that's a great one. Very traditional.
That's a bit of an upset here. Yes, but would you like to hear Dan Orlovsky's top 5 Christmas likes, or should I create a top 5 better?
You create
Dan
O's
Christmas likes.
Christmas likes.
I'm just happy we're saying Christmas again.
I need to gather myself
Thank
in
you,
order
45.
to do this. In order to do this correctly. So maybe we will do that next segment, shall we?
This, Dan, is, by the way, this is a response to yesterday. Mad Dog had his things he hates most about Christmas.
The dislikes.
Yeah, the dislikes about Christmas.
Number
I bet
5?
that was a good list.
Number 5 was Mom's Veal Parm.
Yeah, he hates it.
She always burns it.
Orlovsky said his number 3 Christmas likes is people are nicer. Is that true?
No.
I think so.
Dan Orlovsky has someone shop for him very clearly.
People are in the holiday spirit. I think there's a lot more like eye contact. I'm someone who really likes a little eye contact and a wave at a stranger. Just like a little acknowledgement that you exist, you're another human being on the planet. And that doesn't happen in the other 11 months of the year down here in South Florida. But occasionally I can see someone and just, hey, how are you?
You should move out of a blue city.
Can you guys take any guesses on what Orlovsky's top 5 looks like? What are your some of your favorite Christmas likes? Also, Juju at LeBatardShow, put it on the poll, please. Are people indeed nicer during the holidays? I have not experienced that. Lucy, you've generally found Miami to be rude, right? I don't know anyone who comes here from any other part of the country who doesn't think that this area is unfriendly.
It's very unfriendly. Really? What? Yeah, people aren't nice to me. I ask them how they're doing. They don't respond. I smile. They don't smile back. Like,
but that's weirdo behavior. Like, who asks people how they're feeling?
Me.
You're my therapist.
So you want something from me?
I'm not like going up to someone walking down the street and being like, "Hey, how are you doing?" But like if I'm at a restaurant, my server comes up to the table, I'll say, "Hey, how are you?" And they usually just ignore it.
Yeah.
And that really hurts my feelings.
Oh, come let us adore him. Come let us
keep it going.
Him. Oh, come let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Oh, are you offended?
Billy actually is right when he asks the question. It is possible in Miami that the people serving you don't speak English and don't understand what it is you're saying.
But a smile? No. Come on.
Asking too much.
Exactly. I have a friendly face. Like, just smile back. Just be kind. It'll ruin my day if you don't. I'm very sensitive.
Are people nice elsewhere?
Yeah.
Like, I just assume this is a human thing.
No, people are nice elsewhere. Like,
Why?
I don't know. It's to make me feel better. They're so nice. Like, grew up in North Carolina, Southern, very friendly. Iowa, also a very friendly place until you start making jokes about the offense and they get really mad. They start tweeting things at your dad, so don't do that. But in LA, they were even nice to me out there too. But here, I just can't get people to be nice to me. It really hurts my feelings. Because if I ask you how you're doing, I genuinely want to know.
I really can't stay. Mulkey, it's cold outside. I've got to go away. Mulkey, it's cold outside. This evening has been hoping that you'd drop in. So very nice.
The smell of Christmas is on Arlovsky's list at number 5. The smell of Christmas.
Christmas trees?
The Christmas tree has, well, that's the only smell I associate with. Do you associate it with a food of any kind? All I do is, I do like the smell of pine. I think the first thing that ever hung from a rearview mirror of mine was the old-fashioned Christmas tree that made the car smell like pine.
That sounds like an olden time.
Oh my God!
It's beautiful.
Turn-up truck looking.
Yeah, turn-up truck. Absolutely.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Did Dan have a Christmas tree deodorant hanging from the rearview mirror of his turn-up truck?
The only other smell I could think of, and this is someone in South Florida where we don't actually have fireplaces, would be a fireplace candle.
No.
Or something like a log cabin candle where you can get some of those other smells, or cinnamon sugar cookies or something, but all candles.
Yeah,
Candy cane works.
Peppermint's perfect.
No, it's lechon is what it smells like.
That is true. It's cajachina. It's lechon. It's carbon.
We do the 7 fishes in my house, so I just think of fried smelts.
I ought to say no, 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 sir. Mind if I move in closer? At least I'm going to say that I tried. What's the sense in, wait, how old are you? I really can't say.
The Lights of New York, number 4 for Arlovsky. The Lights of New York.
Yeah, good lights.
Yeah.
Please present 2 valid forms of ID.
Why just New York, though? You like Christmas decorations,
There's a lot
right?
of big giant trees there. I think that's what he's doing.
Okay.
Lots of decorations everywhere this time of year there.
Manufacturing civil unrest, so everyone votes by mail. That's what they're up to.
I like Christmas decorated neighborhoods. I like neighbors competing to have the better.
Do like your mayor. Solid guy.
My mom is redneck, and we keep our Christmas lights up the entire year, and we turn them on all the time. Really? Yeah, it's very easy when people come over because you're like, oh, my house is the one with the Christmas lights on. But yeah, whole year we had our Christmas lights up.
Are they the colorful lights or they're the white lights?
No, they're white lights, so
that's
classy.
okay.
But in July, yep, Christmas lights are up.
I love that. That's like the Christmas-themed bars all year long. That's like my favorite type of dive bar, is going to one that has Christmas lights up all year long. I would love
You go to a lot
hang
of
out at the
those?
house.
Do a lot of those exist?
They exist, yeah.
Yeah, there are
Come
a lot
on,
of
those
those.
exist.
I've never seen one in Miami ever. Yeah.
Well,
That's on you.
I've learned so much about Lucy today, like in the pre-show meeting and the show. It's pretty incredible.
Well, what did you learn in the pre-show meeting? Because I'm learning all
Her
of
dad's the
this
best.
for the first time. What did her dad do other than she was worried about what she was going to get her dad for Christmas? Her dad is a bit of a star. People are noticing him, and he's defending his daughter against the crazies in Iowa.
Did you know the first Christmas was in March?
I can't believe that
How?
Lucy still had Christmas lights in June and July. That doesn't make any sense to me. It sounds lazy.
It's redneck. It's redneck as hell.
That's when JC was born.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at LeBatardShow. Christmas lights still on your house in July. Lazy or redneck?
Also, the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Finally, somebody says it.
I was telling Billy this morning about how when we were younger, my dad loved to lie to us to like an insane extent. Because we were talking about the New Year's Fairy, and it reminded me of this time where they built a McDonald's next to my dad's house, like right down the street. So my dad typed up an official letter from McDonald's Corporation, had his coworker sign it, sent it to our house to my little sister that said, if you go to this McDonald's, you will be arrested and suffer the same fate as the Hamburglar. And he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. She's like 6 years old, or she's probably like 8, terrified because she just wants to go to McDonald's. She feels like she's going to get arrested if we do. Months later, my dad's like, I'm not going to cook. We're going to go to this McDonald's. My sister starts having a panic attack in the drive-thru line. And we're like, what's going on? She's like, I can't be here. The cops are going to show up. I'm going to get arrested. And he would just do stuff like that for fun all the time.
Is the Hamburglar still around, or did we end that character? Because I could see where the Hamburglar would be scary to a child if a parent is saying the Hamburglar is going to come and arrest you. There's going to be an arrest situation.
He wasn't going to arrest my sister. She was going to suffer the same fate as the Hamburger and be in jail with him.
Yes.
Same cell and everything.
Isn't the Hamburglar scary to kids? Wouldn't he be a little bit scary?
I think she was more scared of just like going to jail.
Yeah,
for
jail.
going to McDonald's. She was 8 years old. Like, she believed it. And he had the official letterhead and everything. Like, you would have believed it was a real letter from McDonald's. He typed up the whole thing.
Has McDonald's discontinued the Hamburglar, or is the Hamburglar still a character for McDonald's? Number 2 on Orlovsky's list, by the way.
Pum-pum-pum-pum.
Of Christmas likes, Christmas movies.
Die Hard.
Sound of Freedom.
I don't like Christmas movies. Does that make me...
You have something against Kirk Cameron.
Being a real Grinch, Dan.
Does that make me that I don't like Christmas movies? When I'm telling you I'm driving around, I'm enjoying the holiday spirit in my car. I'm listening to Holly Channel 79. It's not that I don't want the Christmas spirit. It's just I don't need Christmas movies.
Have the Christmas movies on, but the sound down listening to Christmas music.
I'm the asshole here.
Always.
I want Mina's best information, most informed insight on Brock Purdy in a second. But I want to, before we get to Mina Kimes, bring up before her a subject that Lucy is claiming In-N-Out is overrated as a hamburger franchise. And there was an 8-hour line recently. Where was this, Lucy, that there was an 8-hour line for In-N-Out?
So they opened up the first In-N-Out in, I believe, somewhere in Idaho. 8-hour wait in the drive-thru for In-N-Out. I remember when I first went to LA, when I moved there for the first time, I was like, I'm going to try In-N-Out. This is going to change my life. It's fine. It's fine. The fries taste like cardboard. The burgers are good. Worth 8 hours? Absolutely not. No way.
Mina, do you have a verdict you want to make here as someone who is now a defender of all things West Coast?
Am I? I'm not a defender of In-N-Out. I agree with Lucy. It's fine. I think the burger is good. She's right. The fries are not that great. I feel like it's all about what alternatives you have. Like if you live in a city where you don't have really good fast food or really good burgers, I can see why you'd be excited. But out here, there's plenty of better places too.
Los Angeles does food well, but In-N-Out has an exceptional reputation throughout America, does it not? Is it, you are saying something fairly shocking when you say that In-N-Out is overrated.
Am I?
It's just like the hype of it. Like I remember I had never been to California. I grew up in like the South. So In-N-Out was just like this thing you would see in TV shows and movies. So you're like, it's gotta be great. And the drive-thru line is always so long and it moves so slow. So you're like, this is gonna be phenomenal. And it's just fine. And also there's all these like weird little like tricks you need to know that you can order something animal style or extra crispy, or it's like, it's just too complicated of a system and it's not worth an 8-hour wait or like even an hour wait.
I don't think it's that. I mean, there's like 2 things you can order.
I didn't know them ahead of time. Too difficult. I'm just a girl, Mina.
I'm a Chick-fil-A stan. Like I will go if I'm in like the Atlanta airport. I will go
Ditto.
To a different terminal.
Guilty as charged. Who doesn't love Polynesian sauce?
We like KFC around these parts.
Oh, KFC. Jeez.
Don't do that.
Whoa.
I don't know about that.
Mina, real quick, before we get to the Purdy stuff, I wanted to bring you in on something Pete Carroll related. Pete Carroll, I saw Mike Lombardi. I thought you'd be good because on this subject, the Seattle Seahawks, you love that team. And Pete Carroll's style that Mike Lombardi described as spreading love, the word love, not just positivity, but the loving of players. Can you please tell me how common that is in that sport? Can you tell me about the idea of Pete Carroll somehow leading through love?
I don't think it's common to the degree that he espouses it or acts upon it, or the way his players talk about him. Especially you see a lot of former players who come back, whether it's rejoining the team, being around the team. I've talked to a lot of former players about Pete, and almost to a man. The way they speak about him, I would say, is unique. Having talked to other players about other coaches, they absolutely adore him. He is like the definition of a player's coach. They talk about how he believes in them. I think Geno Smith was fantastic on that in an interview earlier this year about how Pete almost like made him believe in himself and quiet the critical inner voice, which I thought, wow, if that's not coaching, I don't know what is. And I know I sound probably like a homer, and I'm not. Like, Pete has his flaws, including trying to get a timeout back the other night. But in terms of the way players feel about him, I do think it is unique.
People are making fun of me here because I don't know what that does for an environment. To have love in an environment, especially that kind of environment that's just all military feel all over it. But they were making fun of me because I was actually moved, not because Seattle beat Philadelphia the other night, but because of how happy Geno Smith genuinely seemed on the sideline for Drew Lock, and their friendship being something that could feel like that, even where I could see the emotion on Geno Smith, even though I couldn't physically see his face because he was just happy for his guy. I was moved by that, and I was surprised that I was moved by that.
How could you not be moved by it? It was cool to see Drew in his interview with Lisa Salters clearly holding back emotion, talking about how, at times he had lost belief in himself, which is so integral to playing the quarterback position, and his voice caught a little bit. And I was emotional watching that. But then when you saw the clip of Geno Smith, the context, the history, the awareness that we all have that Geno Smith, more than maybe any starting quarterback in the NFL right now, understands what it is like to come out as a starter. Drew Lock, you remember, was a starter earlier in his career. To lose a job, to be seen as a backup, to question your own bona fides and abilities, and then to come back and do what Geno did last year was amazing. He gets the big contract, generational money. That's fantastic. But who understands what Drew Lock was going through in that moment more than Geno Smith? And we know that. We see that. And then you see the connection between two of them. That shared experience is beautiful.
Can you explain to Mike Ryan and the rest of us, with your best of analytics, what we're presently witnessing from Brock Purdy? I'm confused, Mina, when I see that Mostert isn't valued with money at a disposable position, but he has as many touchdowns as Christian McCaffrey. When all of these teams have to find value, cheap players who overperform contracts, what is Brock Purdy? What's the best assessment of Brock Purdy?
I think there's two things. We're not seeing something with Brock Purdy that we haven't seen. We're seeing something with this offense, and that is not a detriment to Brock Purdy or any individual players. What they are doing as an right now, Dan, they're on pace to break a lot of records as an offense. I think they're fourth in NFL history in yards per play or something, but they're clearly the best offense in the NFL. They rank first in just about every category. They're phenomenal, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The players, the coaching, the scheme, all of it. What we're seeing from Purdy is a quarterback who has improved, who I think is executing the offense at a really high level, who is executing it better than other quarterbacks have in the system, and deserves a ton of credit for that. But when we talk about, what this offense is, which is an absolute buzzsaw and nightmare, it's not because of the quarterback. It's because of the offense. And you mentioned Mostert, who's fantastic, but Christian McCaffrey, when you watch this offense on tape, is so clearly, to me, the straw that stirs the drink. Because what he can do on a football field, there's no one else in the NFL right now who can do it. It's why I object to when people point to running back contracts and they say, well, look at Christian McCaffrey. Well, no, Christian McCaffrey is a unicorn, and he's also paired, by the way, with a coach who has optimized him in a way, a coach who already was a best play caller in the NFL and has optimized him in a way we haven't seen. His ability to run, he's like an incredible pure runner, run routes, catch passes, and block at a high level, makes him the queen on the chessboard in this offense, and it makes him almost impossible to defend.
Correct me where I'm wrong in this oversimplified analysis, but Brock Purdy couldn't do much of anything when McCaffrey, Debo, and Trent Williams were all limping around or hurt. That's where they lost their games, and that's where people started questioning Brock Purdy again.
Yeah, well, it was Williams and Debo were out for both of those games in completion, and I think it's tricky because on one hand you can say, well, any quarterback, if you took out two of their best players, would be worse. However, if you took away, I don't know, Kelsey or Diggs, those quarterbacks would have no one. Whereas in San Francisco, you still had Kittle and like they're the Monstars. So it's not really comparable. But I think it doesn't mean Brock Purdy isn't a good quarterback or that he's not a great fit for this offense. It, to me, highlights the fact that the offense it's the way they all fit together that makes it so deadly. It's not a case, and we've seen this, by the way, with quarterbacks, where sometimes when you watch, I don't know, Lamar Jackson over the years is the one that comes to mind, Josh Allen at points in his career, and you watch them and you put them on, you say, that quarterback is putting this team on his back. Oh my God, everything is running through him. That's not the case in San Francisco, and that's fine. I don't know why, like that, even to say that out loud has sort of been positioned as hate or bias or anti-Purdy. It's just a reality. It's acknowledging the context that he's playing in. And if you're a Niners fan, you should be thrilled. Your offense is a machine that is not entirely dependent, by the way, on one player the way other offenses are.
How much better is San Francisco healthy than the second best team in the league?
I think there's a pretty significant gap, to be honest. Although, we'll see. I think Baltimore probably matches up with them better than any team in the NFL. So we will see that, which at the test of Christmas, of course. But they're so balanced. The defense is, though they have some struggles against the run, a top 5 defense as well. And then offensively, I just think it's such a nightmare to defend this offense. I think the NFC, there's a pretty significant gap between them and everyone else. The AFC, the top 4 teams would make it a little bit more interesting. Mahomes. I think the Dolphins would be an interesting matchup as well. The Bills, the way they're playing right now, and the Ravens. But they are clearly the best team in the NFL to me.
Who is the second best team in the NFC? Because a couple weeks ago, clearly it would have been Philadelphia, and I'm really confused by what I'm watching. Yeah, their schedule's gotten tougher, but that game on Monday night was certainly a winnable game, and they seemingly went out of their way to keep Seattle in it.
I don't think it's Philly. I still think it's Dallas, which I know they got stomped by San Francisco, and they just got stomped, so that feels off, but the reality is Dallas can play a lot better than what we saw. Some of that had to do with game script too. Whereas Philly, I think the offense can be better and that they've been the more disappointing unit, but that defense is not good. And it's not good in a way that's fixable. It's not a coaching problem, which is why I thought it was kind of strange that they made the coaching change going to Matt Patricia, because watching them all season, they have personnel problems. There are holes all over that defense, injuries as well, talent, age, that sort of thing. That's not getting better. Whereas I think with Dallas, there are things that can be fixed.
Entertain in a minute or less for us Stugotz's hypothetical from yesterday. Bill Belichick is hypothetically available. How many teams are firing their present coach for that availability?
Maybe half.
Are you surprised that we are headed toward a space where Belichick is available and it can look like the younger minds are the minds that you'd prefer to have? The younger styles of Pete Carroll's, and he's not younger, but the younger style of a Pete Carroll, right, which connects with players.
Yes and no. Yeah, he's the best coach in NFL history, so of course it's surprising that he's not going out on his own terms. Like, that is, if you say that's not surprising, you're lying. The fact that we've gotten to this point. But I think what makes it not surprising and what makes it likely to happen is his failures as a GM. And the problem is that those things have gotten so intertwined. You can't, like, the ideal outcome in my mind for New England would be to fire Belichick, the GM, and keep Belichick, the coach, who's still very good at coaching defensive football situationally. I think the offense, like the failures of this team are because of the roster, which he built. So he deserves blame. I think what likely has happened in New England, I'm sure we'll get, a 8,000 word Seth Wickersham piece in time to actually kind of tell us what really happened, is Belichick, they couldn't split it. Like, they couldn't say to him, okay, it was too humiliating or not something he wanted to give up, would be my guess as to why this is coming to an end.
To be clear, that is something that I just did. I just pointed out the young style of Pete Carroll, who is the oldest coach in the NFL. I will pose to Mina Kimes the question that Chris Long asked me. The Dolphins lose in the wild card round. They have a chance here at the end of the season to either be the 1 seed, if they can beat the Ravens, or fall out of the playoffs under certain circumstances. And it seems a likely scenario that they'll have to face Buffalo 2 weeks in a row. The last week of the season and then first week of the playoffs. That can happen. Do you pay Tua? What do you pay?
You were going to ask that. I knew it.
What do you pay Tua? How do you handle the finances of this?
Have you seen that TikTok video of the guy with the ponytail who keeps saying, I reject the question, and saying both? I don't know if Dan is online enough to have seen it. It's excellent. I saw that. I related to it because I feel like I am that guy, or at least I try to be that guy. Every time I come on the show and Dan, you ask me a difficult question, especially one about the Niners or Dolphins, I feel like, because my answer is never going to be a definitive yes or no because I am a snake. My answer is it depends on how Tua plays in those games. If Tua really struggles with pressure, he can't extend, God forbid he gets hurt, whatever, then I think you have to ask serious questions. But if he plays well and they lose, yeah, you still pay him. I think down the stretch, it really just comes down to actually what it looks like on the field for me.
But the reason I want to press you on this is because I would think that you can make your evaluation already. Why do I need 2 extra games? Why do I need 1 game? You're telling me 1 game. I'm making a decision about 5 years of franchise, and you're telling me I've got 1 game to make it and how he plays in that 1 game. And I'm like, don't you already know what he is? If you're evaluating from the inside, don't you already know what his value is?
I would say, well, first, I was thinking more like down the stretch and in the postseason than just 1 game, honestly. So I agree with you. It wouldn't be just 1 game, but I think you know what his ceiling is. I think there are still questions about his ability to routinely hit that ceiling against really good teams. And I'm not calling them frauds and whatever Mike McDaniel said about the narrative. But if I'm a fan base and I want to feel comfortable with having him as a long-term answer at quarterback and devoting a great deal of the cap to him, I want to feel comfortable with the idea that he can rise to that occasion in those moments, overcome adversity. He has at points during his career, but I think this is a very crucial postseason for them.
Do you have a think piece answer for me on how football can't keep its quarterbacks healthy because football happens to them?
I don't. I think it can be random, to be honest. The amount of injuries we've seen this year, the last time was actually like 2014. So it's not like, I don't think the game has changed in a way that is suddenly leading to more injuries. I think these things kind of just happen in clusters. Obviously, they change the rules a lot to try to stop them from happening with quarterbacks, but it feels to me like this is just a bad luck year for a lot of
you've said that before, and I'd like to believe that is so, but it seems weird, Mina, that they've gone out of their way so much to change the rules, and it can just be mathematical happenstance, but they've gone so far out of their way to make sure that these players are not hit. The fact that all of them are still getting hurt is super weird to me.
But some of the injuries are all different. Like Joe Burrow broke his wrist, right? I mean, it wasn't like, he took like a crazy hit and he broke his leg or anything like that. And Dan, like it didn't happen last year to this extent. Like I'm not watching the sport and thinking, oh my gosh, they need to protect them even more, or this is a trend. It just feels kind of fluky, to be honest. I really believe that to be the case.
Mina, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford,
Bum,
Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. All these quarterbacks have one thing in common, and that is they are presently ranked behind Baker Mayfield in passer rating this season. How has Baker turned his career around in Tampa?
I think that he is playing in a scheme and situation that we have seen him have success with in the past. Mike, you have seen him with a front row seat in Cleveland have success with. A couple of things jump out. The pass protection has been actually pretty good in Tampa. They struggled last year. The offensive line is back on track. That matters a lot for Baker Mayfield, who's always been a quarterback who plays his best football when he's protected, and struggles at time with pressure. I also think that Dave Canales, who's their offensive coordinator, used to be in Seattle. has really called an offense that leans into his skills. You saw that on display against the Packers, the use of play action, throwing over the middle of the field. When Baker is in the right situation, he is a good quarterback. He's accurate. He's got a strong arm. He has struggled just when that hasn't been the case.
Is he going to turn into a pumpkin? Because it's pretty outrageous. We're this late into the season, and he has a better passer rating than Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty impressive for my guy.
Josh Allen, too, right?
Yeah.
Passer rating is not a good stat. So
okay, well, he's also pretty damn impressive from QBR. So you are alleging that Baker Mayfield, for my money, easily the comeback player of the year, is going to turn into a pumpkin.
How do we feel about comeback player of the year? And this was the case Geno won last year, being about coming back from being bad or being perceived
that's what it
to
should be.
Bad.
That's what it should be. Damar Hamlin has one tackle on the year. What did he come back from?
Half a tackle. He came back. Come on.
Might not even be him.
Oh, God. That was a bit of a surprise. That was a thing for a while.
Still a thing, Dan.
No.
Oh, it's still a thing.
No, it can't still be a thing.
Oh, come on. They're all still there, Dan. We just don't hear about him every day because he's not the president.
Former NFL player is just not even seeing the field.
No, come on. It's not still a thing. It can't still be a thing.
I want to believe that Baker is for real. And I kind of feel that you're trying to let me down easy, that he's going to turn into a pumpkin as soon as this week. But I want to believe. He's proven that he's going to have a career now in the NFL, where last year it kind of felt like it was in jeopardy.
I think that is a totally fair assessment. I do not think he's better than the quarterbacks you named at the top. But I do think he has demonstrated this season that in the right situation, he can still play. He still deserves to be a starter in this league, which is incredible. Like, it's a crazy accomplishment. I think people are really questioning that about Mayfield.
Mina, I have a question. If Trevor Lawrence was in a bigger market, would he be getting a lot more heat than what he is now? Because he's kind of a bum. I've heard.
Don't think.
Oh.
I don't think he's a bum. I think he's had a down year. I think the situation stinks. The Jacksonville Jaguars have one of the worst rushing attacks in football. The offensive line is not good. The wide receivers, I think, have maybe the most drops in the NFL behind the Kansas City Chiefs. So I wouldn't put it all on Trevor's feet. I do think, though, however, like, you're probably right. Like, if he was the quarterback of, I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys, he would be inciting a lot more debate. We would be talking a lot more about, can you trust Trevor Lawrence? You know, is he letting the nation down? Should he be sent to prison in the way that we talk about Dak Prescott?
Trevor Lawrence's stats, some people were pointing out with a lot of glee, look a lot like Daniel Jones's, at least the counting stats. Your thoughts there are what?
I think you should watch the games and come to an assessment based on the product that you see on the field. I'm a stats person, but quarterback play in general simply cannot be captured statistically in a way that I think maybe like we lose sight of. Like, it's just so many things go into whether a quarterback is actually playing well. You have to watch the game. You have to see the context around him. You have to see the play calling. You have to see who he's going up against. You have to see the protection, all of that, the decision making. What is he asked to do? And I think, to the point about Trevor, I want to be clear. I don't think he's having a great season, certainly not by his standards, but he is not the biggest problem on this Jacksonville team by any stretch, and he is definitely better than Daniel Jones.
Mina, I'm usually not here on Thursdays, and I feel like I don't want to be too forward and say we're friends, but I feel like we're friends enough, right, to bring something. There's been some chatter around The Office, and I'm not here, so it's the first I hear of it, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. The sign behind you that says, "Dogs welcome, people tolerated." There's some concern that you may be quickly reaching the territory where you have, like, a bathroom that's themed like a beach, or you have signs in your kitchen that say "Live every day like it's Taco Tuesday." And I just wanted to bring that to your attention in case you were unaware of these rumblings around this office in particular.
I have more of those signs. Do you want to see? Okay.
Every one
You
of
definitely
them.
have one that says it's wine o'clock somewhere, right?
Okay, hold on. Let me find the other one. 1 second.
Okay, we will wait for you. Cannot wait to see what kind of.
But first, coffee.
So what are you accusing her of? Maximum momming? What is the actual accusation?
The way that it was described to me was elder millennial.
Yeah.
Also known as millennial cringe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say it. But
That's what you were thinking, Lucy.
Oh, no.
Lucy.
See the good
Oh,
is the sign
God.
she has
Okay.
emerged with. You have just been, I don't want to say that you were accused of being millennial cringe, but I was asking them, what are you accusing her of? Maximum momming?
Basic. I think this is basic, is how we would describe people who have these signs. And they are all gifts from my mom. So you guys are criticizing Mina Kimes, you haters, the most loved person on the internet. Why are you so mean?
Wow.
And the reason I keep this sign up there is just as sort of like a message to her when I'm on TV that I'm thinking about her. Why do you hate my mom,
The
Billy?
haters.
What
Yeah,
is
guys,
your-
why do you hate your
Now
mom?
I legitimately feel terrible. I'm going to carry this with me the rest of the
Feel
day.
Good, Mina.
I'm not going to name names, Mina, but they said, we want to ask Mina about this, but we're all afraid. Billy, you do it. And I said, okay.
No, it sounded like you meant it, and it hurts, honestly.
Well,
Do you have a
I might have
towel
to ask her.
that says family fall football?
I would love a
Family.
towel like that.
Do you have a sign that says, in this house we get wild, but only till 9 p.m.?
I have another one that she sent me that says, if my dog's not invited, I'm not coming, which is pretty good. Pretty good sign.
She
Do you have a
took
sign
out,
that says protected by FAFO?
she took out the heavy artillery on you guys. She not only summoned her dog,
Around and find out.
but also her mother.
She's in her 70s.
Mina, thank
Why
you.
would you do that?
Elder millennial.
See you later, Mina.
So rude.
All right, couple things to clean up here on the post-game show, which we're going to try to treat a little bit more like an actual post-game and close a couple of loops. So, Jeremy, a couple things I want out of you. I see the Touche Taché shirts are on our merch store at LeBatardAF.com. I'd like a status report on that. And also, before we get to the lost tapes of Tony and Masters Dallas Cowboys preview, I want to find out the deal with the $1 million puzzles.
So, first and foremost on the shirt front. So, yes, the Touche Taché shirts. We went over this yesterday. I asked David Sampson if I could get a couple of free shirts with my name and face on it, and he said that without the LeBatard Show, I don't have a name or face, so I don't get any free shirts. That actually happened on our air.
Is he not aware that you're an Emmy Award-winning
Apparently not.
personality for a local
State Emmy.
It was also less tactful than that, if you could imagine.
Yeah, somehow
I
less
can.
tactful than that. It was really remarkable, and so in turn, I started as a bit my own NIL collective to raise money to be able to buy T-shirts for myself. The good news was that in that GoFundMe, I mentioned that all of the money donated would actually go to Camp Fiesta, the camp that my family's involved with that I've mentioned on here before. And the fans of the show showed up in a huge way. We raised almost $900 for Camp Fiesta, which is really, really awesome. So thank you, everybody, for that. That was seriously, really touched my heart, including the largest donation coming from David himself. Yes, his name was on the donation, not anonymously, but it was very thoughtful, and I appreciate it.
He's gonna write
I
that
have a
off.
proposal for Camp Fiesta. What
Please.
if instead of giving the funds from this GoFundMe directly to Camp Fiesta, we invest in the $1 million puzzle, and we can turn that $900 or so into over $1 million?
It's not a bad idea. Look, we can find out with the will of the people, but what we did figure out is that they're making a pretty good profit over there. So it's the $2 million puzzle that only gives away puzzles up to $1 million. There's $2 million puzzles involved. And it seems like, if my math is correct, that the amount of money that they are giving out is $4,822,720 when you scan their QR codes. Now, if everyone is to buy one of the 600,000 puzzles that they are putting out there for the $30 price point, not in one of the bundles, they're making $18 million there. So, again, if the math's right, about a $13 million profit, which sounds like the type of profit that David wants to turn at the merch store.
I was just sent an image from Mina Kimes on a group chat with Billy. She was holding up a sign that says, "You are the icing on my cupcake."
Aw.
Also,
Yeah,
Shark Boy and Lava Girl for shark movies.
All right, Tony, the Cowboys preview lost tapes that we kept referencing Master Tesfazian, friend of the show, and noted Cowboys fan. You did a preview with Master in which you got everything right, but it never made it to air.
Correct.
Did you have to capitulate today?
No, it was more of a friend to friend. I needed to apologize to him on behalf of people that didn't put things up when we kind of dropped the ball, but it's okay. Again,
you were on vacation.
No, I did what I had to do. Like I had to do the content, and then the distribution stuff. Out of my wheelhouse is for other people that are aligned to figure out. So
you're a leader. You delegate.
Lewis did get in my ear just now and say he's actually right. It's my fault. So for what it's worth,
there's a bunch that didn't make it, and that's completely okay. But as a friend, I wanted to apologize to Master because it's not fair that he had to give all these great takes, take up his very, important time to help me out, and then not get rewarded with his takes being right 10, 15 weeks down the line in the NFL. So we have the lost tapes. They are up on YouTube right now. You can see they've got a little bit of a situation there where I'm looking up joyously at Master's smiling face. So we have the lost tapes. Master, I apologize in front of everybody in the world right now that I should have put your stuff up. Well, Lewis should have put it up realistically. I was
not an apology.
No, it's an apology to him on behalf of me and Lewis.
That was Greece.
Excellent. Halfway through, I remember, I was writing an ATV, and I was like, I didn't put up the Master thing.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
No, I'm saying
this
it
ATV though.
It didn't get put
be
up.
Someone else's problem.
Right, but then at that point, you know how it is, Mike. You were there. It's 6 hours or 7 hours. No, it's 7 hours ahead. You
I'll
know
have
what
you
the
know
time
that I
is.
drafted a successfully a finalist, a runner-up in the battle chord from Greece. So I did my work.
A little different though. It wasn't me that had access to it. I was on vacation.
On vacation, realized you forgot to do it.
No,
and
that somebody else forgot to do it. That somebody else forgot to do it, and I was like, I'll get back to that.
I do
and then
love the
forgot.
visual of that coming to you all while you're on an ATV.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, you know what? I haven't seen the Master thing.
So
yet.
Master was right about everything? Master, you were right about everything?
Of course. This is our year.
All right. So if you were right entering the season about the expectations, there's a big game happening locally that you're having zero luck getting anybody to go to the game out of our friend
All of
group.
our coward Dolphins friends decided to back out last minute.
It is Noche Buena. It's
Buena,
bigger
it's a
than
big one,
Christmas down here.
Hey, I'm skipping my family, okay? I warned them Thanksgiving. I told them, hey, Thanksgiving's with you, Christmas for the boys.
Ouch.
And the boys are backing out.
I'd like to think that we're family. You are saying
We are family. I'm spending it with you and your lovely family.
Uncle Master. But what's going to happen on
Puzzles.
Sunday?
I don't know yet. We stink on the road, clearly, very clearly. But the Dolphins stink too. This is a fraud bowl presented by a bunch of fraudsters.
Wow, I don't like that.
But I do think the Cowboys do pull this one off. I do.
Are you still following Guillermo Ton?
No.
Billy's not even following
No.
Guillermo Ton
What is
anymore.
that supposed to mean you're not following? Why not?
Because you just fell off on it.
Well, no, I had to get it repaired, but it's fine. We're good now.
I literally was in your DMs like, yo, this is dope. Let's do it. Let's build this
and
out.
we did it.
We did it one time.
We did it a couple
We did it
times.
once.
We did a handful,
We
a
did it
couple
once.
times. You know
And the
what?
craziest part, every now and then I'll jump on my Peloton and there'll still be people from Guillermo Ton who'll be like, oh, cool. And they'll just like hit me with a high
High
five.
fives.
And
Oh, I
I'm like,
love a
please
good high
stop.
five.
Please stop.
Yeah,
It's
please
over.
stop.
It ended. It's dead.
It's not dead.
It is absolutely.
It's coming
dead.
back.
It's dead.
When?
No, no, guys.
New
There's a
year,
great,
new Guillermo
exactly
Ton.
right. Yeah.
New Year's resolution?
Oh yeah, before New Year's, and right now you get $600 off.
Off a Peloton?
Off of select Peloton purchases and 2 months free membership. Go to onepeloton.com/deals. Terms apply.
Oh.
I hope that this
Terms
is an
apply.
active thing and this isn't for next week.
Best shark movie is West Side Story.
Shut up, Jeremy.
The theater kid. You got a hat from Jazz.
I'll take it.
So long story short, there's a Dolphins fan looking for a Cowboys fan to have some fun this weekend.
You should go on
I'm a
Bumble.
Craigslist.
Bumble,
One
Plus
of
or
the
whatever.
Craigslist.
Bumble BFF.
I'm out of town, but thank you for the invite.
Oh, this would have been
Yeah,
fantastic.
Bumble BFF. Find somebody. It won't be weird at all. Find someone on
sure.
Bumble to go to the game with.
But you have to go to a Dolphins game, so.
Yeah, I'm busy.